was able to muster this morning when she got away from Kern County jailers who had taken her to Kern Medical for treatment of a medical condition.
Did he really?
In on car theft charges, Toledo will now face the additional charge of escape, paying the price for an attempt that took her just over a half mile from her starting point. A Bakersfield officer picked her up near Mount Vernon Avenue and returned her to the people from whence she absconded. Sometimes determination isn't a good thing if it's turned the wrong way. April 23rd, 2024. 54-year-old Herbert Brown was determined to steal a woman's car and waved a metal bar at her, demanding that she give him the keys. She ran inside to wake up the hubby. Brown picked up a rock and broke glass to get in her house and took the keys, stole the car, and drove away. His persistence is paying off with a guilty verdict, a strike against him, and with that strike, a possible 22-year sentence. Two sides to the Turning Point USA Megyn Kelly event in Bakersfield. Some of the protesters who gathered outside the event Thursday night at the Dignity Health Arena had signs indicating they did not care for Kelly's comments on Jeffrey Epstein on November 12th. People who came to see Kelly say they were there to see her appear in place of Charlie Kirk. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think, this is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get a post like this. But a bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com.
I'll do it live.
Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody. And a very pleasant good afternoon to you wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing on YouTube. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Friday. This is Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at KERNradio.com. Stephen Nicholas filling in for Dawson Pitcher, who is filling in for Chris Burdick, who'll be replaced later by J.R. Flores. It's producer of the day on the Ralph Bailey Show. We got a busy broadcast as I finally get back to work. I believe it or not, it is great to be back to work. I missed Wednesday because of the services for Gary Leary, who we said goodbye to on Wednesday. And then Thursday, I just out of nowhere got violently ill. I know the cause, but I think it's just old age. I just think it's just being an old man. And he's got some special guest with us, is going to be with him. He is the son of Fernando Lamas. And for old folks who, please stand by. How can I get a text message at the beginning of the show? And it's Anthony Leary. Really? I'm a minute into the show and someone's texting me. I'll get to that later. But old folks will remember him on Falcon Crest. Steven, you're way too young. You don't. This is an age show that I never saw. It was one of those like Dynasty.
I remember the name.
Dallas
like Highlander
ripoff
or something.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. But he's had an incredible career. You know, he's older than I think he's in his mid-60s.
I just remember the long hair. All the women.
Yeah. Dude, I was looking up his bio today. He's been married 6 times.
I told you.
And he's got a girlfriend now.
Women love him.
They do. His dad, you don't remember his dad, Fernando Lamas, but he was big, tall, strapping Latin guy who was married to Esther Williams. I don't think that's Lorenzo's mother. I think that he married Esther Williams after he had what's his name. But Lorenzo Lamas is also very good friends with Jane Wyman, who was Ronald Reagan's first wife. So it'll be interesting to talk with him. And then later in the broadcast, of course, it's a Friday, so we'll talk with our good friend Brandon Lang. And then our good friend Chris Orr is going to join us in the last half hour of the broadcast, pumping up his lacrosse program. And tomorrow is the 62nd commemoration of the murder of John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And so, if you know me and know this show, we're going to spend some time talking about that infamous day in Dallas which I, as you well know, firmly believe was orchestrated by the Central Intelligence Agency in cahoots with the mafia. And I will make my annual pitch as to why I believe that and why I think I can prove that. And I got a bunch of miscellaneous news and notes to get to. We'll talk about Lawrence Reed. You may not know the name, but I'd be willing to bet you know the incident. This is a man who was arrested 72 times. He was arrested 72 times. Like, how is that possible? How do you have time to get arrested 72 times? He was only convicted 15 times, 12 of those violent felonies. And yet a judge by the name of Teresa Marie Gonzalez, in his last conviction of violent crime, the prosecutors were seeking to keep him in jail. She said, no, I'll put him on a monitor. After his 15th conviction. How is that possible? How are you a judge and I'm standing before you and I've been convicted of 12 of 15 violent felonies, and the prosecution comes and they says, Judge, we want to keep Ralph Bailey in jail. He's a violent felon. No. Let's just put a little bracelet on his ankle and hope for the best. Well, the best didn't occur. Lawrence Reed took a jug full of gasoline, jumped on the L train in Chicago, poured it on an innocent woman, and lit her afire. She's fighting for her life as we speak. How many times do we have to talk about this? These idiot liberal judges, a DEI hire, if you ask me. If you read her resume, which I did, her bio, she goes on and on about how she's the first Hispanic this and the first Hispanic that. I don't give a damn. You are incompetent, woman. If a 15-time convict comes in front of you and you put him on a monitor instead of throwing his sorry ass in jail, and he's as mentally loopy as you can get. He represented himself. He talked about in court yesterday morning about how, if you're going to try me, you got to feed me. I mean, he's obviously cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and yet he's wandering around the city of Chicago. And this comes in the wake of that other incident on a train down in North Carolina. Remember that, where the young girl had her throat slit? And of course, the Chicago mayor is calling it a isolated incident. No, it's not. It's not. It's just a deadly incident. So we hear about it. But the other mental idiots that are convicted and they just beat somebody up, put them in the hospital, we don't hear about that. We only hear about them if they slit their throat and they die, or they throw gasoline on them and kill them, or get them near death. But if they beat the crap out of them and break their legs and, fracture their neck, we don't hear about those. It's incomprehensible. 72 arrests. But we begin with the Love Fest in Washington. Did anybody get to see this? Was anybody home today and get to see I just watched this thing shaking my head the whole time. Zoran Memdani was in the Oval Office with the president after a meeting. And, there are a couple of conclusions that you can make. You can make one conclusion that maybe he's playing chess. Maybe the president listens to the Ralph Bailey show, because I was the one that says, let him win. Let Memdani win. Pump him up. Let him become the face of the Democratic Party. Maybe that's what Trump's doing, because the two of them sat in the Oval Office and they might have as well French kissed. It was unbelievable. And I cleaned that up. You know what I'm saying? But I get Memdani. I get him walking away from just about everything he campaigned on and sucking on the president's big toe. I get that. That's the way to get to Donald Trump. Pump him up, speak kindly of him, congratulate him, talk about how 1 out of 10 voters have voted for me, voted for Trump. I get that. But why Trump would be so kind to this guy? Again, maybe he's playing chess and he wants this guy to be the face of the party. But at the same time, he is undercutting Elise Stefanik, who's trying to run for governor. And the bottom line is all the things that Mamdani campaigned on cannot come true. Governor Huckel has already said, I'm not going to let you raise the corporate tax. I'm not going to let you raise the individual tax. So the free buses and the government-run grocery stores, how are they going to get paid? If the governor's not going to let you raise taxes, how are they going to get paid? So I just thought it was a bizarre scene to think that the week began with the president demonizing a member of his own party, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then denying the things that he said badly about Mamdani. They asked him, you called him a jihadist. And the president said, well, you say things during an election. I didn't really mean it. It's like, what? The longer he's in office, the more he confuses me. Sometimes I just don't understand what he's doing. But again, maybe he is doing something much smarter than I know. And I'm on some level, I'm being kind of hypocritical because I was the guy that was like, let him win. Let him win. He's 33, maybe 34 years old. He's never really had a real job. He's a former state assemblyman. And now he is in charge of the economic center, perhaps of the world, but certainly of North America. He's got a city with a $117 billion budget. I didn't say million. He has a $117 billion budget. And thus far, he's done the right thing. He's a smart guy. Don't think he's not, because he has moved way to the center. He's keeping on the police commissioner. Jackie Heinrichs of Fox asked him about the police level because he talked about not only defunding the police, he talked about getting rid of the police. He's saying he's going to keep it at a 35,000 personnel level. So he's saying everything that he didn't campaign on. He's a smart cat. He really is. And if this could be a new wave within the Democratic Party. While the Democratic Party in the House just voted on a resolution to condemn socialism, and 86 Democrats, including Hakeem Jeffries, who endorsed the guy, signed off on the bill. Why? Because they don't want to be on the record as like in favor of socialism. It's one thing to endorse a democratic socialist. It's another thing to be on record as a Democrat supporting socialism, which we all know doesn't work. Again, I reference the Margaret Thatcher line. Socialism is great until you run out of other people's money. And that's the real deal. Let's go ahead and take our first break of the day. When we come back, as I predicted, and it's not anything to pat myself on the back about, it was much talked about, Eric Swalwell has jumped in the water in the state of California. We'll get to that. And wait till I play this Jasmine Crockett audio. I know I've been gone for 2 days, and most of you have probably heard it by now, but this woman is a cartoon. She really is. She's a cartoon figure. She's not a serious politician. She's not even a serious lawyer, because no lawyer goes on the floor of the House of Representatives and defames people claiming that they took money from Jeffrey Epstein. And it turns out it was Dr. Jeffrey Epstein of Manhasset, New York, not the pedophile. And she named Mitt Romney, the RNCC, George Bush, Lee Zeldin. Wait till you hear this woman. She is a cartoon character. That's the only way I can describe her. She's an absolute joke. Quick timeout. We're just getting started. Rick Bentley will join us in just a couple of minutes with some guests. It's Comic-Con weekend. And our man Brandon Lang at 4 o'clock. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Friday. The Friday before Thanksgiving. I just realized that this morning. Good googly moogly. Right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, and we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. It's the JR Show.
So it looks like Prop 50 is going to pass. That's fine. I respect the process. I might not agree with the outcome, but I at least respect the process.
What's that?
The problem is Democrats still
Casey,
have
right here?
elections next year. They couldn't flip Valadeo's seat, and that district has been Democrat for a long time. So this isn't over. They might have won Prop 50, but they still need voter turnout, which is a problem for them. and they still need to win congressional races.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
It is a Friday, which means there is live music going on at the Stockyard right next door to KC Steakhouse, which I've told you guys, it's been an absolute game changer for Cassie Biddle and her staff. It is the site of our AGM's Christmas party. There's a beautiful banquet room that Kathy Abernathy uses for election parties, meetings. It's just a great setting. They've got a bar. You can have dinner in there. And it's just, like I said, been an absolute game changer. And Jimmy is back. He had some medical issues that he fought through, and he and Bobby are back in the main restaurant providing live music. So where would you rather be on a weekend like this other than KC Steakhouse? You all voted KC the finest steakhouse in Kern County and gave them the best ambiance as well. So where would you rather be than on F Street? Even if you have dinner in the main restaurant, go check out the Stockyard. Just check it out. Listen, I think it's Lottie playing tonight, live music. It is a great venue. Just check it out. Just have a cocktail, one of their craft cocktails. And of course, enjoy the great variety that Chef Daniels put together in the main restaurant. It's KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify.
Wow.
You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-399-7272. 800-399-7272. Again, that's 800-399-7272.
The annual enrollment period for Medicare is here. That means that it is time for you to select your Medicare plan for 2026. This annual enrollment period, choose a name you already trust. Select Kern Family Healthcare Medicare, D-SNP, a new option for people who have both Medicare and Medi-Cal. For over 29 years, Kern Family Healthcare has been a trusted name in Medi-Cal. Now, we're here to support your Medicare journey too. Call 1-866-661-3767. Again, that's 1-866-661-3767. Or visit www.kernfamilyhealthcare.com/Medicare to learn more and enroll. Start your Medicare journey with local care you trust. Choose Kern Family Healthcare. Kern Family Healthcare Medicare is an HMO D-SNP plan with a Medicare contract and a contract with the California Medicaid program. Enrollment in Kern Family Healthcare Medicare HMO D-SNP depends on contract renewal.
Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Monday edition of the First Look program, well, we got the hot list. We're going to help everybody who's not already out of town with their travel plans. We're going to help people find jobs with America's Job Center at Kern, and we'll bring you state-of-the-art news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, streaming live on the World Wide Web at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Eight 842 KERN. Lorenzo Lamas and Mr. Bentley join us at the bottom of the hour. I'm having a bad week, Stephen. I was supposed to go ring bells with the Salvation Army. Totally forgot about it. Just totally forgot about it. Mr. Bentley is not going to be happy with me when he comes in, and I don't blame him. I'm going to have to mow his lawn for a couple of weeks or something. I don't know. I was just, God, having a bad week. But in the meantime, not as bad a week as Jasmine Crockett, who is an absolute cartoon character who went on the floor of the House and mentioned the fact that Lee Zeldin Mitt Romney, et cetera, all took money from Jeffrey Epstein. Well, the Congresswoman didn't absolutely do her research. Let's listen to this. Is on Caitlin Collins' show.
Stacey didn't initiate that change.
Oh, wait, wrong video, wrong audio. Please stand by. That's her talking about Stacey Plaskey, the woman who was taking instructions from Jeffrey Epstein during a committee hearing that involved the
Republicans taking money from a Jeffrey Epstein. Here's what you said. Who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio. You mentioned Lee Zeldin there. He's now a cabinet secretary. He responded and said it was actually Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who's a doctor that doesn't have any relation to the convicted sex trafficker. Unfortunate for that doctor, but that is who donated to a prior campaign of his. Do you want to correct the record on the people that...
Listen, I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein, just so that people understand when you make a donation, your picture is not there. And because they decided to spring this on us in real time, I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen, because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled. And that is specifically why I said Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies. Because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a Jeffrey Epstein. He admitted that he did receive donations from a Jeffrey Epstein, so at least I wasn't trying to mislead people. Now, have I dug in to find out who this doctor is? I have not. So I will trust and take what he says, is that it wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein, but I was not attempting to mislead anybody. I literally had maybe 20 minutes before I had to do that debate.
Yeah, but people might see that and say, well, you're trying to make it sound like he took money from
I did not know.
A registered sex offender.
No, but I literally did not know. When you search FEC files, and that's what I had my team to do, I texted them and I said, listen, we're going up. They are saying that she took donations.
Right, but someone might say, well, your team should have done the homework to make sure it wasn't the convicted sex trafficker.
Within 20 minutes, you could not find that out, not from just doing a quick search on FEC. So number one, I made sure that I was clear that it was a Jeffrey Epstein, but I never said that it was specifically that Jeffrey Epstein, because I knew that we would need more time to really dig in.
We would need more time, but that didn't stop me from defaming a man. And I didn't say it was the Jeffrey Epstein. I said it was a Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, her explanation makes it worse. How many times have we talked about it's never the mistake that you make, it's how you handle it. And if she had gone on Caitlin Collins and said, you know what, in all my zeal, I rushed to the floor. I had 20 minutes to look this up. I had my staff look it up. The name Jeffrey Epstein popped up. We assumed it was the pedophile, even though the donations were made after Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. We neglected to see that fact. And I apologize. That's all I can do. But no, she tries to justify it. He admitted that he took money from a Jeffrey Epstein, so it wasn't like I was trying to fool people. What? You see why I call this woman? I mean, how else can you deem her anything other than a cartoon character? You can't be taken seriously. When you rush to the floor and your research is Google, you had your staff Google? Really? The Library of Congress is right down the street, lady. Good God. I mean, how? And the fact that the Democrats are standing by, and the realization is, and maybe this is Trump again playing chess while we're all playing checkers, that he wanted to fight this thing and then finally let it go and see what happens and have all these Democrats be responsible, because Hakeem Jeffries was contacting Epstein after he was convicted. This Stacey Stalker, whatever, Plaskey, she's taking instructions from the man, communicating during a committee hearing after he was convicted. So whatever you want to say about Trump, we know for a fact the Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries, Stacey Plaskey was dealing with Jeffrey Epstein after he was convicted and got that sweetheart deal down in Florida. So this is much more damaging to Democrats than it is to Republicans. And for this woman, this congresswoman who is contemplating running for the Senate, because everybody's expecting Ted Cruz to announce that he's going to run for president in 28. Woman, you're a joke. You can't even be taken seriously. And why Lee Zeldin doesn't get a really good lawyer and sue her for defamation, I guess because she said a Jeffrey Epstein and not the Jeffrey Epstein. And it just happened to be a doctor who lives in Manhasset. Unbelievable. We still got lots to do. We're just getting started on this Friday. Rick Bentley will join us with his guests. Brandon Lang at 4 o'clock, giving you college and NFL picks. Shador Sanders making his debut as an NFL starter this weekend. This ought to be rich. And our friend Chris Orr wants to talk lacrosse in the 5. It's TRBS on a Friday. I'd stick around if I you.
News.
I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I deserve to be
With
dead
us over
today. Hi.
news, I'm Heath
Hi, how are you?
Peters
Out
in
there.
Washington. President Trump has met the man
I'll
who
come and
proudly
mow your
proclaimed
lawn
himself
for a
Donald
month.
Trump's worst nightmare, but
sorry,
he seemed
sir.
to find the opposite.
I don't
President of New
blame
York
you.
City's Mayor-elect Zoran
I
Mamdani
do
were
not
warm
blame
and friendly Friday, speaking repeatedly of their shared goals to help Trump's hometown rather than their combustible differences.
That plot is dead right there?
Government have attacked a Catholic school in Nigeria, abducting more than 200 school
And JR's out there right
12
now.
teachers.
I feel.
The Christian Association of Nigeria
How long are they
reported
going?
Friday's
Till how
incident
late?
at St. Mary's School in the Papyri
So can I
community.
come by after the
On
show?
Wall Street, the Dow up by 493 points. The Nasdaq rose 195, with the S&P 500 up by 64.
No, I will.
More
I do feel
details at
obligated. Are you kidding me?
SRNews.com.
We met Mike.
96.1 and AM 1180.
Yeah, we just shook hands.
KERN.
No, not
From the
quiet. Hey, just come
KERN
on.
newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and
Where's
AM
Mr.
1180.
Lamas?
KERN.
He's right here. Okay.
I'm Chris Davis. The boulder that's
Yeah.
in the middle of Highway 178 at the Kern River Canyon may weigh as much as 40,000 pounds, and that's giving
Thank
Caltrans
you.
crews a tough time getting it moved.
Yeah,
If
it's
you drive
fairly
that way,
new. We had a
well, you
fire.
are being
We had a
advised
dump
not
of
to.
the studio.
An escape
about
and a
6,
quick
7
capture.
years ago.
29-year-old Erica
And it
Toledo
caught
was
fire.
taken to Kern Medical about 3 this morning by jailers
And
with the Kern
your
County
church money,
Sheriff's
we built
Department,
facilities,
and
we
she
got,
escaped.
we own
They
5
said
stations.
the
We own a
prisoner made
cluster.
it about a half
And we own
mile
2
and was
hip-hop
out for about
stations, a
30
Spanish
minutes
station,
before being caught by a
and kind of a
Bakersfield
soccer mom
police officer.
station, and then
Someone
the news
else
talk
who has been
station.
caught is the man police wanted
Yeah.
for sex crimes against
In fact, I
children
saw our
last week.
boss just
They
walk in
confirmed
there.
60-year-old
Mr. Lamas,
Roman Duran
Ralph Bailey.
Ayala is in
Nice to meet
custody.
you. Come on
I'm
in.
Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Millions of fans agree. This Christmas tradition rocks. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, live in concert, presenting The Ghost of Christmas Eve, the best of TSO and more. November 25th, Dignity Health Arena. Tickets on sale now at LiveNation.com and AXS.com. Don't miss this season's most exciting concert experience. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, live in concert.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan
You
you
wanna
can
do that?
count on. And that's what you get with a
Okay.
Medicare
What do you wanna
Advantage
do?
plan from United Healthcare.
Okay.
With more than 45 years experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today
Thanks for coming
and as
in.
your needs change tomorrow.
Huge
The
Dodger fan.
Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th.
6 and
.com/Medicare today.
Crazy.
United Healthcare
Crazy.
Medicare plans. It's Medicare
No.
coverage California can count on.
The
Start
only
your
thing
day
better
right.
than winning
First look with Scott
is
Cox,
winning when you
6
don't
to
think you're
9
going to
a.m.
win.
On the Monday edition
Because I
of the
just
First
thought,
Look
I just
program,
thought
where
when
we
the
got
bases
hot
were
list, we're
loaded
going to help everybody
and
who's not
Will's
already
foot
out of
came
town
up,
with their
I was like,
travel
this is
plans.
how we're
We're
going to
help
lose the
people
World
find
Series.
jobs with America's Job
It was
Center
crazy.
Kern, and we'll bring you state-of-the-art news, traffic, and weather. It's all
You were on the
happening
Bold and the
6 to 9
Beautiful.
a.m. right here at News Talk
Was Don
96.1,
Giamatti on
streaming
when you
live
were
on the
there?
World Wide Web at
No, do you know Don?
KernRadio.com.
Look
He's
with
one of my
Scott
best friends.
Cox,
We
6
played
to 9
high school
a.m.
basketball
News
together.
Talk
He's a good
96.1
dude, really
and
good
AM
dude.
1180
There
KERN.
you go.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 6 p.m. on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
It's It's a Friday, which means KGT 17 entertainment reporter Rick Bentley is with us. I am his indentured slave. I was supposed to ring bells.
Please do not use that word.
Yeah, it's a bad word. You're right. I can't get away with that in 2025.
Oh my God.
I am in debt to him. Let's say that. I absolutely blew an assignment today. I was supposed to ring bells with him out at Hobby Lobby, the Salvation Army. I am forever in your debt. I apologize. I was sick yesterday, and it's just thrown my whole week off, and I'm just...
Sure. Let's go with that. What I prefer to think is it's just you being Ralph.
Oh, now that's... All right, I deserve it. No, you're right. I deserve it.
You know, for the rest of this show, anything I throw out like that, you deserve it.
You're right. You're right.
This,
I'm not even
going to... This segment ends.
We're back on good terms. All right, very good. Introduce your guests and tell them why they're here in Bakersfield.
I thought they were your... Oh, I'm sorry. Joining me today is Lorenzo Lamas and Michael Tucci, both from the movie Grease, but you also know them from countless other TV and film projects. I guess with Lorenzo, it has to be Renegade. And with Michael, I talk about The Paper Chase being one of the greatest TV shows of all time, but he was also probably better known for Diagnosis Murder because that show I thought stayed on longer. But Paper Chase to me is if I was making that list of the top 10 overlooked, underappreciated TV shows, Paper Chase would be on there. But these gentlemen are in town for the next 2 days. It's the Bakersfield Comic Con. It's going to go on for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday out at the fairgrounds. They have special guests. They're going to be there signing autographs, doing panel discussions. And they were kind enough to be able to come in today to talk about the show. And well, maybe we'll give away a couple of tickets to make people want to go out and see them in person.
That would be great.
Well, thanks for having us on.
We appreciate you coming in. Really do.
We have two other stars, castmates that are going to join us tomorrow.
Yeah.
Jamie Donnelly, who played Jan in the movie Grease, the brush up girl.
Yeah.
And Dinah Manoff, who had the pen pals, you know, all the soldiers that she was writing to. So they'll both be joining Michael.
And the director of
the director's coming, right? Randall Pfizer.
Yeah.
And he wrote a book on Grease from when we started to the end, so it's kind of nice. He's going to be selling that.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I'll let you handle the interview.
Well, Lorenzo, you were telling me earlier on KGT about how you guys kind of have gotten together to do these sort of group reunions. Could you just talk about how often that happens? And is there a set group that shows up that likes to hang out together, or how does it come together?
Well, you know, sometimes we're joined by Didi Khan, who played Frenchie, and Barry Pearl, who played Duty, and Kelly Ward, also Putsy. But it just really kind of has happened really since the 30th anniversary of the movie.
Yeah.
Almost 10 years ago,
wow.
We started doing these things. And last year in 2024 was the first time that we actually did autograph shows in conjunction with drive-ins that screened the movie on the drive-in screen.
Really?
Where did you find drive-in?
I was going to say.
In the Midwest, mainly. In the Midwest,
Yeah,
Missouri, you know. Yeah. And now we're talking about doing one in Florida in March. But it was the promoter that got this idea. And it just has caught on. And people come dressed up as either, you know, one of the pink ladies, or they come as a T-Bird, or they come as the jock.
Right.
You know, and it's just great to meet folks. They come, they can drive in from 2, 3. Some people drive in across state lines to come and see us. You know?
Wow.
So it's a huge testament, not only, you know, to us, but also to the film and how it's endured.
Yeah.
Over all these years.
Yeah. They had I don't know, 18,000 people at the Hollywood Bowl, or 8,000, completely sold out. And grandmothers who dress up as Sandy to the little kids, and it was something.
Yeah. Well, Michael, take that a step further. I mean, there are films, plenty of big films that came out before and after that don't have that following. What is it about Grease that continues to resonate with people?
I think just the story. It covers so many demographics. It could be a babysitting movie because they don't understand the other side of it. And it never got great reviews, but always done well. And then Happy Days came out, and boom, went to capacity. They put us at a theater on Broadway, the Royale, that if you're in there, you're going to flop. And we ran for 9 years. So what do we know? I don't know. It just resonates. It just works.
I think Randall, our director, had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
He really allowed the cast members to find their character.
Right.
And a lot of the things were in the script, but many of the moments, like Michael's moment with Eve Arden in the hallway,
right,
was improvised.
Yeah, all improvised.
Really?
I was able to improvise. I didn't have one line in the movie written.
I know.
But people think I had words because at the bonfire scene, Olivia and I exchanged, we mouthed, hello, how are you? Fine, how are you? That was not in the script. So Randall really allowed us to create this real moment, the real moments in the movie that I think stand out, along with the musical, Who wrote the music to was it Braun, what's his name?
Jim Jacobs.
Jim Jacobs and
Jim Jacobs and God.
Bronford.
Yeah, no, he wrote the screenplay.
The screenplay.
Yeah, but Alan Carr had a lot to do with that. I mean, we were in the movie because of Alan Carr, the producer. He met his mom at a party and introduced him, and then he got that part. And my mother sat in back of Alan Carr at a play, and she heard the word Grease, and she turned around. She said, "Grease, what do you know about Grease?" And he said, "Well, I'm the producer, so see my son."
I love our moms.
Yeah, and your mom was what? You were with Alan at an event.
It was. I escorted my mom to the Academy Awards one year.
You were such a good son.
I was 19, and she asked me. She was living in New York. She came out to California to do a Love Boat episode, and she called me. She said, "Hey, I want to go to the awards. They sent me tickets. I don't have anybody to take me. Would you escort me?" And of course, like our son's gonna, yeah. And this was at the governor's ball, and I was introduced to Alan Carr by a PR agent, and he remembered me 3 or 4 months later when Stephen Ford dropped out.
Oh.
Stephen Ford was originally the jock.
Okay.
And during rehearsals, there was some issue, he was uncomfortable, whatever, and so that part became open. And then Alan remembered meeting me, and he called my agent and said, "Send Lorenzo over." But Grease, like The Sound of Music, West Side Story, it just
Hair.
For some reason, it has that enduring capacity of reaching every family member.
Yeah.
Right? Our grand folks, our parents, our kids, because it's just a wonderfully entertaining movie with great music.
It's a classic.
And
Stands the test of time.
Really,
it really
does.
does.
On great music.
Yeah.
Because there's literally a long list of songs that we can all sing from Grease. And if you walk out of a theater singing a song, it's resonating with you. It's going to stick with you. So, but I want to go back. You getting cast, Lorenzo, you getting cast in this, it was pretty early in your career. And you were jumping in, you were heading into a major project with singing and dancing and all. Were you cautious about that? Or was it like, oh, this is it? I finally have hit that point where, I'm not having to do these tiny little roles.
I was too new in the business to even know what the hell I was to think.
Okay.
I was given this, I was 19 years old. I didn't even have an agent yet.
Wow.
And, well, I did have an agent. I take that back, Mike Rosen. And he called me and said, Alan Carr wants to see you at Paramount. So I get on the set there in rehearsals. So I'm on a soundstage watching, Grease Lightning being rehearsed with John and these guys. And I'm going, oh my God, I'm actually part of this thing. The choreographer, Pat Birch, came up to me, introduced herself to me, and she asked me, said, "So do you dance?" I go, "Well, I go to the disco." She goes, "Okay, are you athletic?" I said, "Yeah, I played ball in school." She goes, "Okay, show me some drills." So I showed her some football drills, and she incorporated that into the dance scene, right, where we're all coming down the line. And Pat Birch was just incredible, and I felt welcome. I didn't feel like anybody was looking down on me because I didn't have an experience. I was really like a kid in the candy store. And Olivia and John, my God, I went to military school. Friends of mine and I, after study hall at night before taps, we would do temptation moves to her songs. We like choreo. And there I am in the movie. I called my friend David, who was in New Jersey, went to school in New Jersey. I said, "David, I'm on set with Olivia." He goes, "Get the hell out of here. You're a liar." I said, "Get on a flight." He came out and stayed with me. I brought him to the set.
Oh.
So he met Olivia, my buddy from high school. It was
and the movies that were being done around us, Jack Nicholson was there doing a movie. Henry Winkler was there doing a movie. Warren Beatty and Goldie Hawn. So all these big hits were happening at the same time. And then John took us to a screening of Saturday Night Live, and wow, this guy's going to be so big.
Rick and I have talked about that so many times. I think that was one of the great eras of motion pictures, the late 20th century. I really do. From the 70s through the 90s, some of the greatest movies ever made.
Yeah, think about it. I mean, Godfather started
Exactly.
off in the 70s decade.
Exactly.
I mean, incredible time in entertainment history.
Yeah.
Sure, well, Rick, you would know all about that.
Yeah. No, we do discuss that, how much we appreciate older movies. Even go back further. You're a fan of 40s and 50 movies and everything like that.
Too.
And because, I think that, again, going back to why Grease works, it's well written, it's well performed, it's well acted, has characters you fall in love with. And that's what I've always found with other movies. If I find all those elements, no matter whether it's a film from the 40s, 50s, 20s. I mean, I've watched silent films where I've fallen in love with the characters. And Grease is that way. It's almost impossible not to love that film. And again, the fact that it's still being appreciated today is really a testament. I see people talk about current movies being, oh, this is a classic. Talk to me in 40 years. Then we'll say, is it a classic or not? Yeah. But Lord, I'm going to go one other thing too. When I always talk about actors as being versatile, I always look at, where are the extremes of their career. And you play this character in Grease, which is, the job, the kind of clean cut. And then you go to Renegade, who couldn't be any farther apart. Is that the kind of work you like, that you can do that sort of that diverse level of character?
I think so. I think every actor would love to have diversity in it, on looking at his resume. But a lot of times you get typecast, also in the same. I was just so young when I did Grease. I was an open page. The casting agent didn't even know me.
Yeah.
So my next big break was Falcon Crest, right? So I was then the soap opera actor. Had to break out of that. So I did action movies that I did in Canada, straight to video, because I wanted to be also the action guy. So I was able to parlay that into a career playing action stars, right? Okay. And then Renegade happened, and that solidified that. So I've been very, very fortunate, very lucky in the industry. Been in the right place at the right time. My mom introduced me to Alan Carr, and then Steve O'Connell basically took Renegade off the shelf and had me come in to read it. He put me in that role. He had me in mind the whole time. Been very, very lucky.
Yeah. I just want to interject because I only have two questions that I wanted to discuss with you. You talked about your mom, and you're probably sick of this, but I have to bring up the fact who your father was, Fernando Lamas.
Never sick of it.
Who is
the inspiration for the most interesting man in the world.
Absolutely. He was one of the best Johnny Carson guests in the history of that show. He really was. And I followed you. I remember you on Falcon Crest. We're about the same age. And you didn't really look like your father, but as you've grown older, I thought it was your dad walking in the door. I really did. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was a devilish.
Yes, he was.
And a good father.
Yeah.
We didn't spend a lot of time together as a kid because my mom moved to New York when they divorced, and he stayed on the West Coast with another wonderful human and famous
Esther Williams.
Actress, Esther Williams, my stepmom. But we did make the most of it when we were together.
Yeah. Did that hurt you or help you being his son earlier in your career?
I think there was a curiosity.
Yeah.
Because I used to, before I had an agent, I would just pick up the trades, the Hollywood Reporter and the Variety. In the back of each of those publications was a list of movies and television film in production. And I would pick up the phone myself, call the casting agent. I said, hey, I'm Lorenzo Lamas. I'm Fernando Lamas' and Arlene's son. Could I come in for a general meeting?
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, I'd say, sure. So curiosity. Then you get in the door, you got to have the chops.
Right.
I went to Tony Barr's Film Actors Workshop while I was working at Jack LaLanne's as a trainer and pumping gas and all that stuff. And then my teacher, Laura Rose, at one point, I think it was a year after I enrolled, she said, I think you're ready to go out audition. So that's when I started picking up the phone.
Yeah.
Dad helped me get one show. John Pizer, the director, was directing a TV show called Switch with Eddie Albert and Robert Wagner for CBS.
I remember that.
And there was a part of a foreign soccer player. And Dad called John because they were friends. And he'd go, hey, John, would you mind? My son came in and read. Not give my son the part.
Right.
But he asked Dad if I could come in and read for it. He asked John if I could come in and read for it. And I did, and I got it. And that kind of kicked off the whole Falcon Crest thing. And then I got casting agents started to know who I was, apart from Grease.
Right.
Because I didn't have any lines in Grease. I was like a glorified extra. But but Randall allowed me to be in the background of most of those scenes in the movie with Michael.
Yeah.
And that's probably why people believe that you are a major player in it.
Correct.
With
Yeah.
both, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, but a lot of people still come up to me in autograph shows to get a signed picture from Renegade.
Yeah.
And they'll see the picture of me in Greece and they'll go to me, they'll go, what, that was you? So,
well, again, talk about diversity.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, I want to talk a little bit about when you've done a project like Grease, which becomes so endearing. When you look at the next projects after that later on, does it make it harder to pick? Like, oh, I'm just not going to take anything because I've had really good work, or does sometimes it just need to be pay the bill?
Well, one of my agents said, don't do Grease because it's going to type you out. But it took such a long time to get the play. What am I knocking it for? And then it was already 31. So, yeah. But it typed me out. But then I got big time into television, and that changed it all. And then Paper Chase was a whole different game than that. And Diagnosis Murder with Dick. Dick wants you to be funny and work, so that was good. So it was all good. It was all good. But it did type me out.
Yeah. Could you just talk a little bit more about working with Dick Van Dyke on Diagnosis Murder? I mean, obviously he's had 100 years of entertaining, and so what was it like?
He wants you to do like he's looking at you, and he wants you to be funny. He wants you to. He really throws his energy to you. Most comics don't. They want you to kind of make a little mistake so they could get a couple of laughs. I mean, that's what Shanley's show was. It was like night and day.
Right.
Yeah,
and the Shanley Show was really ahead of its time, almost
yeah.
the way it was structured and shot.
Yeah, so ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Gary was a great writer. When he stopped writing this show, it was still good, but not what it was when Gary was writing. He should have stayed with the writing side of it.
Yeah. Hey, Lorenzo, go back to your parents real quickly. Was it always predestined that you were going to be an actor, or was it like there were moments when you went, I'll do anything. I'll be a dentist or an astronaut rather than following my family's footsteps?
I never thought that I would be an actor. I was an overweight, chubby kid that wore glasses. I never, ever. I mean, my dad was the biggest. He was like a superhero to me as a kid. He took me to the sets, and he was always playing these bigger than life characters.
Yeah.
As a kid growing up, I mean, that's what I saw. I said, I can't do that.
The dashing romantic lead.
Yeah, I'd never thought of myself as that.
And your mother was the ingenue of.
Oh yeah, my mom was just such a business. She was like Mad Men era. Businesswoman, right? She designed lingerie in her 20s. She designed a fragrance in her 30s. So aside from her movie career, she also had a business career. So she was always off doing things, and I just, I was going to be a veterinarian, in high school.
Wow.
And then there was a year I took off prior to going to my first year of college that I found acting. And my dad and I sat down one day, and he goes, you got to give this a good amount of thought because you got 8 years of additional education in front of you to pursue your medical degree. Are you sure you want to be swabbing out a beagle's ear when you're 35 years old? And I said, well, what else? He goes, well, go to junior college, take some courses,
Right.
So I went to Santa Monica City. I swam for them, and I had to take classes. I couldn't just join the swim team.
Right.
So I took diverse courses. I did criminal justice. I took language, Spanish. And that's when I found like a possibility. I had grown up a lot in high school. I was fat and chubby when I got to military school, and by the time I graduated, I was running track. I was wrestling, and I changed my physique. So when I got on the stage at junior college, I was offered the lead. In what was it, Pirates of Penzance?
Oh,
wow!
And it was crazy because I had never thought that I could do that, and that just struck a chord. Got into acting school at Tony Barr's workshop, learned how to film act for film, and that was it.
Yeah. The other thing that I found fascinating about your life is that you had a very close relationship with Ronald Reagan's first wife, Jane Wyman. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, Jane played my grandmother, Angela Channing, on
Falcon Crest. Yeah.
And we became very close because we had a ton of scenes together, more so than really any other character on the show. So, and she knew my father. My father had done her show, The Jane Wyman Hour, which was a live show,
Right.
filmed in New York. And while Jane and Dad were like, I think they went to commercial between Act 3 and Act 4. Dad got a call on stage from the hospital that my mom was in, giving birth to me. I was an emergency reached, and I had left the show. He had to go to the hospital. And Jane, when she met me, she goes, "Okay, you're the guy." She goes, "Never leave me hanging like your dad did." And I said, "I promise, Jane, I won't." She was really, really a mentor to me. You know, I was 20 years old when I got Falcon Crest, still learning about the business and technique. And she was just like my grandmother.
Yeah,
really.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that really
very
is.
cool.
Hey, Michael, was it always your plan to be an actor, or did you want to be a vet at one point in your life?
No, I got into drama school, and I got into law school. And my father said, "You go to law school, I'll pay. You go to drama school, you pay." So I went to law school, passed the bar, and I got paper chase.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it was good. Yeah.
Passed the New York bar.
Yeah, the New York bar.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you still practice, or does
No,
that?
I was an
okay.
assistant DA for like 5 minutes, and there was another guy, who was Morton Gould, a conductor, and he went to law school, and we became DAs together. We hated it. There was nothing we could accomplish. They threw us a case and told us what to do, so it was very disheartening.
Parents react when you became an actor? Then was it like, oh, you
took him into the city, and when Nick, it's Michael. So that solved it all, you know.
Yeah.
And she was thrilled, and then meeting John and Olivia and Stockton and John.
You've done good.
I did.
Yes,
good.
you
I did
have.
good.
I think you made the right choice.
Both.
I made the right choice.
Yeah. Before we run out of time, I do want to go back to the convention while you're in town. You guys do a bunch of these a year, or is it a regular? How many do you do?
When John and Olivia were alive, we did 3 of them in Florida at stadiums, like 7,000 people.
Wow.
And if you bought this one price ticket, you met John and Olivia and us after the show.
Oh,
so that turned, and all that money went to Olivia's charity.
Oh, how
That's
neat.
pretty cool.
And then we just went to Hollywood Bowl. John showed up as a guest, and forget it, because 18,000 people, the money went to his charity. She was lovely, lovely woman.
Now, we'll kind of rehash before we get away from this. The convention's this Saturday and Sunday out at the fairgrounds. Admission's $50 on Saturday, $12 on Sunday, or you can buy a ticket for $20 for both days. Children 12 and under get in free. Also keep in mind there's a $5 fee to park. I don't know why they don't work that into the ticket, but that's just me talking. But again, it's a great way. It's a great convention because it's not like going to Comic-Con in San Diego where you literally can't get near any of the talent. This one is it's really kind of, it's more intimate, and you really do get to feel like for your price of admission, you're actually getting to participate. I mean, again, there'll be sessions with them talking about, again, I'll be asking some of the same questions again, but it is just, I think it's a really good convention for people who want to actually experience and not just say, I was at this big convention.
Yeah.
So,
We make ourselves very available to the folks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
We spend time talking to everybody.
Yeah.
Not just sign and move along, you know.
Well, I'm in awe of you guys. I mean, I grew up in LA, as the audience knows, as Rick knows. I was a frustrated guy who wanted to get into entertainment. And I was friends with the Cates brothers, whose dad was Gil Cates. He was president of the Directors Guild at the time. And I was at their house and I said, Mr. Cates, I'd like to get into Hollywood. And he looked me dead in the face and said, do not do it. He said, Ralph, the unemployment rate is 86%. For blacks, it's like 97%. Go get your degree. And then if you want to do it, then go back, but don't do it. Crushed me, absolutely crushed me. So I'm a frustrated actor. And to see you guys just continuing to work as late in your career is awesome. It really speaks to you.
You get your own show. That's acting.
Yes, I guess.
And real quickly, we've got tickets to give away.
Yes.
I'm going to be back over at the Hobby Lobby on California Avenue, ringing the bell until 7 o'clock. You're going to join me later.
Probably not.
Probably
no,
not.
I'm kidding. Yes, of course I'm going to be there.
It's not like you've stood me up before.
Well, I got to be consistent.
If anybody comes in and says they heard it on the air here, we'll pass on tickets.
Great.
Lorenzo, Michael, thank you so much. Enjoy the weekend in Bakersfield. We appreciate you coming in and taking the time. And Mr. Bentley, thank you, sir. Always good to see you. I apologize again, but I will see you shortly. I guarantee you.
In 2 weeks, we'll have a visitor from the Middle East.
Kernak the Magnificent returns.
Right.
Very good. Quick timeout. We head into the 4 o'clock hour off to New York. We'll talk with our football handicapper, Brandon Lang, give it his college and NFL picks. We'll talk about Lawrence Reed, the man who was convicted 15 times and yet was still on the streets and set a woman on fire on the L in Chicago. We'll talk about that. And our good friend Chris Orr will be here in the 5. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. I'd stick around if I you.
This is AM 1180.
That was great. That was so good. Thank you, fellas. Really appreciate you coming in. No, thank you. That was good. Really nice to meet you. Michael, nice to meet you, sir. Thank you so much.
This hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump has met with New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani at the White House today. Mamdani says they discussed ways of working together despite their differences.
What I really appreciate about the president is the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are,
really nice
and
meeting
also focused on the shared purpose that we have in
Thank you,
serving
sir.
New Yorkers.
I'll see you in a little bit.
Trump
Yes,
says he's
sir.
rooting for
Count on it.
Mamdani.
The better, the happier I am, I will say. There's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New
Brandon
York.
Lang.
The U.S. and Russia have
No,
drawn
we
up
call
a plan aimed at ending the war in Ukraine
JR?
that calls for major concessions
leaving
from
it
Kyiv. Correspondent Ben Thomas reports on other points from the latest proposal.
Ukraine's military would be reduced by nearly a third, from roughly 880,000 troops to 600,000. The proposal would also prevent the future expansion of NATO and opens the door to lifting sanctions on Russia. The $100 billion
It
in
is
frozen Russian
310.
assets would be dedicated to rebuilding Ukraine. A side agreement aims to satisfy Ukrainian security
210,
concerns, declaring a future
65,
significant,
99.
deliberate, and sustained
Give him
armed
a couple of
attack
minutes.
by
I think
Russia would be
generally
viewed
he
as
calls
threatening the
us,
peace and security
but if he
of
hasn't
the
called by like
transatlantic
4:03,
community.
give him a call.
Ben Thomas, Washington.
Thank you, sir.
European diplomats insist they and Ukraine must be consulted, and a Ukrainian representative to the UN says her country will cede no land to Russia as a condition of peace. Gunmen attacked a Catholic school in Nigeria, abducting more than 200 school children and 12 teachers. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 493 points, the Nasdaq rose 195. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Everyone is watching major movements ripple through the markets these days, sparked by new policy shifts out of Washington, elections around the country, and activity from the Federal Reserve. Americans have faced uncertainty before, and every time we've found our footing again. The real secret to long-term financial peace is simple. Keep your eyes on the horizon and understand the fundamentals that drive real stability. That's exactly why Advantage Gold is inviting you to call 800-741-GOLD right now. We'll send you a free Gold IRA rollover kit, along with a complimentary copy of economist Ken Rogoff's insightful book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Inside, you'll learn how to defend your retirement savings against inflation, market swings, and reckless fiscal policies with tangible assets like precious metals that have preserved wealth for centuries. It's no wonder Advantage Gold has been America's #1 gold company for the past decade. Take a smart step toward protecting what you've earned. Call 800-741-GOLD. That's 800-741-4653. Consult your financial
Did we
advisor
not
before
move
investing.
the,
Call 800-741-GOLD.
We didn't move
From
the
the
camera.
KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
There's a rock in the middle of the highway. I'm Chris Davis. It's not just any rock. This one is as big as a truck, and it was blocking both lanes of Highway 178 in the Kern River Canyon area. The first reports of the boulder came in just a couple minutes before 3 this morning, and ever since, the Caltrans crews have been working hard to get the situation remedied.
I guess that's my bad.
In this case, that means moving the rock or breaking it up.
Yeah.
You've heard
it was all
freedom
on me
isn't
the whole
free,
time.
and not even a half hour of freedom. That's about all 29-year-old Erica Toledo was able to muster this morning when she got away from Kern County.
I apologize,
who had
guys.
taken her to...
Guys, I apologize to everybody who's watching on YouTube that you had to watch me, and we had Lorenzo Lamas in studio. Yeah, go see him at the Comic-Con. I apologize.
A Bakersfield officer picked her up near Mount Vernon Avenue and returned her to the people from whence she absconded. Sometimes determination isn't a good thing if it's turned the wrong way. April 23rd, 2024. 54-year-old Herbert Brown was determined to steal a woman's car and waved a metal bar at her, demanding that she give him the keys. She ran inside to wake up the hubby. Brown picked up a rock and broke glass to get in her house and took the keys, stole the car, and drove away. His persistence is paying off with a guilty verdict, a strike against him, and with that strike, a possible 22-year sentence. Two sides to the Turning Point USA Megyn Kelly event in Bakersfield. Some of the protesters who gathered outside the event Thursday night at the Dignity Health Arena had signs indicating they did not care for Kelly's comments on Jeffrey Epstein on November 12th. People who came to see Kelly say they were there to see her appear in place of Charlie Kirk. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom. With news every half hour or when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get a post like this. Bing! You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Friday. Beautiful day here in Bakersfield. Let me just apologize to everybody on YouTube. Again, Stephen is filling in for JR, who is filling in for Dawson Pitcher, who is filling in for Chris Burdick. So we don't have the normal producer, and I neglected to even look at the YouTube screen because we did not change the camera angle. So all you saw was my ugly mug when we have Lorenzo Lamas live in studio, and nobody saw him. I mean, that is incompetence at its best. And it's all on. All I had to do was turn around and look at the damn screen. And I could have been like, excuse me, fellas, let me change the camera. And nobody saw Lorenzo Lamas. I can just tell you, he looks amazingly like his father, which is weird. Like I said in the interview, we're about the same age. He's a little bit older than I am. But I remember him. I didn't watch Falcon Crest, but you knew who he was because Fernando Lamas, like I said in the interview, was one of the big stars of the 20th century. He was a dashing Latin lover. He was married to Esther Williams. That's not Lorenzo's mom, but Esther Williams was a huge star. She was a swimming expert and was in a bunch of movies with Fernando. That's how they met. And again, I apologize for not letting you guys. Lisa, I'm surprised. I blame Lisa because Lisa normally would tighten me up on things like this. But she came by to see him because she couldn't see him on the damn.
Well, head down to Hobby Lobby, get your tickets.
Yeah, and go see him tomorrow. Exactly. He'll be here all weekend long at Bakersfield Comic-Con. In the meantime, we're off to New York City. It's my favorite part of the show, just so I can hear what Mr. Lang has selected for his walk-in song. It's our man, Brandon Lang. What's really going on? How was Italy, my brother?
Well, first of all, the hottest life you had was Shauna Sands from 96 to 2002.
Yes, and I forgot to tell him, dang it, I forgot to tell him we had dinner together. He was having dinner with her back in at the Cheesecake Factory in the Marina Del Rey, and I was sitting right next to him. Forgot to tell him that.
Yeah. And then Renegade.
Yeah,
I mean,
he talked about that.
Yep, he had a run.
He did.
That's cool. And listen, I've never met him. And again, I was networking Two for the Money in LA from, 97 to 03.
Yeah.
And, Jay Cohen, who produced Two for the Money, was working for Dustin Hoffman's production company. And then he went to work for Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell's production company. And then I think he's with Gersh now in LA. But long story short, you'd hear things about people and somebody's name would be in there. I never heard a bad word about Lorenzo. What a cool dude. I've always been a big fan, and good for him, man.
Yeah, really nice guy.
Yep, you can tell. You can tell.
Walked into the studio, and the first thing he said to me was, "I hear you're a huge Dodger fan." And I said, "Damn right." And we sat and talked about the World Series for about 5 minutes. It was great. Really nice guy. Really nice guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So what do you got? So you going to tell us about Italy real quick? Couple minutes?
Well, two things. One, until you see the canals in Venice in person, you don't realize how insane that city is built into the water.
Yeah.
And there's 412 little bridges throughout the entire city that go over the canals. That gives you an idea. We went into the train station, got in a water taxi, because that's how you get around.
Right.
And it took us to our hotel. You don't check in the front hotel. You check in the back where the water is. And we went in, we checked in, and when we went back to the train station in the morning, 4 days later, that's the first time we saw a car our 3 days there. It was where the train station is. There's a circle where people get dropped off and go to work, and the buses stop off right there. That was it. We never saw a car. One of the coolest cities ever. So romantic. So the gondola ride, guys singing, going through the canals, and it was just absolutely epic. And then over to Florence, and Florence was incredible. Hannibal Lecter tour was incredible, where they filmed, and but the highlight of Florence is the David. You know what the David is?
The statue?
Yes, the Michelangelo, the statue he did. But when you really stand there and look at it, it engulfs you, because what engulfs you are three things. One, how big the piece of marble had to be for him to make this 17-foot sculpture.
Wow, I didn't know it was that big. Wow.
17 feet high. Leonardo da Vinci wanted it. Other big guys back then wanted it. A commission gave it to 26-year-old Michelangelo. He had 3 years to complete it, which it took 3 years. He had to work on a scaffold, had to be built for him to get around to make it. And when you stand, we stood there for 45 minutes and just looked at it, because the attention to detail, and it just overwhelms you to imagine a man in 1502 on a scaffold for 3 years working on this majestic sculpture. Like, what did you wake up in the morning and go, all right, what are you doing? I got to get to work. I got to go work on David.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there at 10 or till 6, and it's coming along pretty good. And the guy painted the Sixtine Chapel. I get it.
Yeah.
He's talented.
That's a miracle.
Yeah, but this is a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah.
The eyes, the muscles, it was epic. The food was epic. The romance was epic. The Italian people are unbelievable. Nobody was ever angry. Nobody ever yelled. Nobody ever screamed. There was not one protest. There was not nothing. People were happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
pretty cool.
happy.
That's
and received us very well. So, unbelievable trip. Can't wait to go again. We'll probably go down to South Italy. Maybe go to Sicily, Amalfi Coast or whatever. But scale of 1 to 10, it was 1,000.
Wow.
There's no other way to say it.
Good for you.
So great 8 days. And what's funny is I landed on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I had my best bet being the Carolina Panthers, and I lost. And then Monday, I hit the Monday night game. Tuesday, Western Michigan. Wednesday, Central Michigan. Thursday, I hit Thursday. Friday, Clemson. Saturday, I had Jacksonville State, 3-point dog, won outright by 9. And I hop on a plane to come back. and I watched Jared Goff and the Lions throw up all over themselves against the Philadelphia Eagles. So on a 9-2 run, 6-1 on my honeymoon, but watching Jared Goff throw up on Sunday night the way he did goes right into last night's game and goes right into why the Giants beat the 18-0 New England Patriots. I don't care how good a quarterback you are. I don't care how great you've been. If you feel pressure, pressure equals problems. And what you saw with Jared Goff is he had guys wide open, and he missed them, and it's 13-6, 5 minutes to go, 4th and goal at the 3. He's got the tight end wide open underneath, touchdown, 13-13. Never saw him. Why? Because when you at a point as an NFL quarterback, this is for your listeners, when you get to a point mentally where you don't trust your pocket, that means you're getting banged around. That means everything speeds up.
Yep.
So you go 3-step, 5-step drop, you plant, you go to throw, you get happy feet.
Exactly.
You don't trust your pocket anymore.
Yep.
And that's what happened. I had Houston last night, and that's what happened with Josh Allen. Is he as good as he is? Man, he got back, hit that fifth foot hit, that pot. He had guys. He's like, it just everything goes wrong.
Yeah, it was Al Davis's fundamental belief in defense. You've got to pressure the quarterback. You've got to hit the quarterback, and you win football games.
Yep, and absolutely right. So, 2 things of note. Next time Jared Goff goes outdoors against the top 5 defense, you can bet your unborn children's children that he will collapse just like he did. He can't play outdoors against the top 5 defense. Can't. Just can't. With that being said, that goes right into this week because Dan Campbell, I know it's a big number, 13.5, but Dan Campbell after a loss, 13-0 straight up, 13-0 against the spread, average margin of victory, 19 points. 3 times this year it's happened. They lost week 1 against Green Bay, 27-13. What happened? They came back home and beat the doors off Chicago. The 7-3 Bears, 52-21. Then they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, embarrassed themselves. Came back home, beat Tampa Bay, 24-9, 15-point win. Then Minnesota out of their bye week, threw up all over themselves. What happened? Went to Washington, beat the Commanders, 44-22. And what did they do last Sunday? They embarrassed themselves against the Philadelphia Eagles. Campbell embarrassed himself by passing up field goals. Goff embarrassed himself with just a horrific game. You watch. Jameis, I love throwing interceptions. Winston's the starter. I will be shocked if the Lions don't win by 3 touchdowns.
Wow. Okay. 13.5. Ooh. Okay.
But look at the number.
I hear you.
13-0, straight up and against the spread after a loss.
Yeah, that's hard to beat. What else
All you
you
need to know. You heard it here first.
Okay.
The Philadelphia Eagles will go to Dallas, and they will lose. You heard it here first. Not just take 3.5. Take a money line. You heard it here first. You know how Philly plays defense?
How?
Vic Fangio sets in a cover 2 shell, and he says, if you go on an 11-play drive and you score a touchdown on me, so be it. But I'm gambling that my D-line is going to force turnover, a holding penalty, or get a sack, put you behind the chains, and stop your drive. That's what we're gambling on. Week 1, Dallas went into Philly, lost 24-20. They fumbled inside the Philly 8-yard line when they're about to take the lead, and they threw an interception at the 40, and you had 2 massive CeeDee Lamb drops in that game.
I remember that.
Dak Prescott at home in his career against divisional opponents, 21-2 straight up, 6-1 against the Eagles.
Yeah.
Dallas, inspired by our brother who took his life, I think there's something going on there. But besides that, Philly reminds me of KC last year, winning all these games ugly, and eventually it's going to catch up to you.
Yeah. And there's trouble in that locker room. Jalen Hurts is taking a lot of guff.
I'm telling you.
AJ still chirping.
Yep.
All kind of issues.
Let me just remind the world of something here, because it's very easy just to kind of go about and see Philly winning and see the fact they only have 2 losses on the year, and they beat Green Bay, and then they turn around and they get a big win against Detroit. And you're like, man, Philly's 8-2. They look good. All they do is keep winning. Do I need to remind you that week 6 of the NFL season, they went into New York against that god-awful Giant team as a 7.5-point road favorite with a rookie quarterback, and they just didn't lose. They lost not by 7, not by 10. Giants, as god-awful as Brian Dable is as a head coach with a rookie quarterback, they lost by 17. And people are acting like they're just going to roll into Dallas and be Dallas is playing for their life. Dallas money line. You heard it here first, my brother.
Okay, I've written it down. Anything on the collegiate level? Or you
just one game for your listeners.
All right.
And that's this. There's a coach down there in Texas by the name of Jeff Traylor. Now, I think Jeff Traylor, this is his last year at UTSA, because I think Jeff's going to be coveted. I think Jeff's going to be coveted, and I think Jeff's going to go someplace. But let me tell you something about Jeff Traylor. Did you see the latest college football playoff?
No.
All right. The 12th team in is Tulane.
Really?
They're number 12. Yes, they're number 12.
Our boss's alma mater.
Right now. Now, Tulane's in. About 4 weeks ago, Tulane went into Texas San Antonio to play UTSA and Jeff Traylor. Now, before that game, in his 5 years at UTSA, Jeff Traylor is not 17-4. He's not 18-3. He's 23-0 in home conference games. And against Tulane, he was getting 7.5, and he won the game by not 1 touchdown, not 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. And he's 23-0. He's never lost a home conference game as head coach of the UTSA Roadrunners. Burr, 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 burr. Tomorrow, he's getting 3 from East Carolina to remain a perfect 24-0 as a head coach in home conference games as his say la vie to UTSA, because I think he's going to bigger pastures.
Yeah.
That, my friend, is about as good as it gets.
That's a solid bet. That's a solid bet. Well, I'm glad Italy went well. I'm really happy for you and your lovely wife. That's outstanding. We appreciate you taking the time. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Just so you know, I did try to set my alarm for 3 a.m. in Italy, and the alarm went off, and I just couldn't get up.
Good.
Your show.
Good. We didn't want to talk to you. I'm shocked. You were betting on your honeymoon. You're in Florence, and you're watching NFL football.
Well, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Here's the key.
Yes.
We're 8 hours ahead.
True.
So I was on the Emirates flight coming back when the game started.
Okay.
The Miami game. So I was watching the Miami game, then I watched the 1 o'clock games, then I watched the 4 o'clock games, and we landed at halftime of the Denver Chiefs game. So I saw the whole NFL on Sunday. So
that's pretty cool.
Really pay attention to college. I still have to update the website, pick my games, and do my job.
Right.
It's just that I'm not watching any games.
I hear you. All right, man. Well, have a good weekend.
Buddy.
We'll talk to you next week.
Got it.
All right. Love you, Pop. Brandon Lang, our man. It's funny. He's in Florence betting football on his honeymoon. That's incredible.
Would you expect anything less from a gambler?
No. I'd probably do the same damn thing. J.R. Flores filling in for Stephen Nicholas, who's filling in for Dawson Pitcher, who's filling in for Chris Burdick. Did you hear what happened?
On my way back in, yes. I was driving over from the Hobby Lobby. Well, I was told, by the way.
Yes.
Hey, you're not Lorenzo Lamas. So no, he's just down the road. You won't see him, but
nobody saw him. Nobody saw it. They were looking at me during the whole damn interview. We've got one of the biggest stars in Hollywood sitting to my left. And again, I blame Lisa, our associate producer. She normally tightens us up like this on stuff like that. But it was a cluster screw up. I apologize. It's all my fault. And all I had to do was turn around and look at the screen. And I apologize. I'm having a bad week. You know what I'm saying? As my dad used to say, they all can't be home runs. And this week for me has been an absolute strikeout. I just looked at 3 straight pitches and walked back to the dugout this week. Quick timeout. We're coming right back. We'll get into this arsonist in Chicago. We'll talk about the commemoration of the death of John Kennedy. It's the 62nd year since that infamous day in Dallas. And our good friend Chris Orr is going to join us, talk a little lacrosse at the end of the broadcast. You're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, where we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Trying to do a messmaker.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Monday edition of the First Look program, well, we got the hot list. We're going to help everybody who's not already out of town with their travel plans. We're going to help people find jobs with America's Job Center at Kern, and we'll bring you state-of-the-art news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, streaming live on the World Wide Web at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
As I mentioned, it's been a rough week for me because yesterday missing work was so horrendous because I was so looking forward to talking with Daniel Petrie, our money man. I wanted to talk about the jobless rates that came out, the good and bad report that unemployment went up, but there were 119,000 new jobs added. And that discussion has caused Jerome Powell to go back against what he said. And he may, in fact, drop interest rates by December. Wanted to talk to Daniel about that as well, because you all know he is an important cog to this broadcast. Not only does he have economic knowledge, but he has political savvy that can explain what is going on inside the Beltway and why Jerome Powell is going back and forth on lowering interest rates. But again, you know what Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors are all about. They're all about retirement. If you, like I, are facing that, call Daniel at 395-9400, 395-9400, or just join us next Thursday, where he joins us every week at 4:30. Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only. Does not constitute a solicitation or offer to buy or sell any security, future option, or other financial instrument, or to offer or provide any investment advisory or other services to any person in any jurisdiction by Daniel Petrie or MPWAE, DBA, Messmaker, and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Any views expressed in this broadcast are also prepared based upon the information available to us at the time, and we are under no obligation to update our views.
And they're looking
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Guy Picard.
Hi, my name is Guy Picard, and I am very happy that I found Paul Sheldon. What a relief it is trying to turn 65 and find somebody like him to help me navigate this industry. I think that it's really important that you look at all of the options that you have and then give Paul Sheldon a call, because he will create a plan that fits your budget and fits what you're trying to achieve as far as trying to get the best possible medical care that you can have. So I'd like to recommend Paul Sheldon to any of you out there that are trying to navigate the medical industry at turning 65. Give Paul Sheldon and his staff a call. They are awesome. And I'd just like to say, Paul and your whole entire staff, you guys rock.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398
Oh, hell yeah.
2298. Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-399-7272. 800-399-7272. Again, that's 800-399-7272.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I've got a song, I ain't got no melody.
So I'm reading in the chat room that Stephen Nicholas threw me under the bus. That somebody apparently called the show and said, why are we looking at Freckle-Faced Ralph with Lorenzo Lamas in the studio? And Nicholas told them, Sparky told them, well, Ralph controls the camera. I've moved that camera about 4 times since we've had it. Chris normally handles that. I guess Steven didn't want to come in, and I don't know why he didn't just say, "Hey, Ralph, we're seeing you. We're not seeing Rick or Lorenzo."
Well, doesn't Rick sit on this end of the table? And
Normally, but he had
Lorenzo on that end.
And Michael we had two guests, so they both sat here and shared the mic. Not that you all would know that. And Bentley sat over here. And what is amazing is normally I will peek back just to see the angle of the shot, and I never did.
Never even.
And I didn't even, Rick handled the interview, so all they saw during the whole thing was this.
Did you look back and forth?
That's what they saw. I asked like two questions. I asked him about his dad, Fernando Lamas, who, as I mentioned during the interview, was one of the great guests on the Johnny Carson show, as well as one of great Latin actors of the 20th century, if not the single greatest Latin lover on films. And I asked him about Jane Wyman, who he had a close relationship with. As most of you know, Jane Wyman was Ronald Reagan's very first wife. Ronald Reagan became the first president in the history of our republic to win the presidency as a divorced man. But that isn't the case anyway. Speaking of the devil, Mr. Lamas, how many times do you think he was married?
4?
6.
Oh, God.
6.
I was shooting high.
And he's 67. He's got a girlfriend now.
So you're saying you got a chance?
I guess. Or that he's going to have a 7th wedding coming up, one of the two. Quick time out. We'll talk about Lawrence Reed when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The third storm in just over a week drenched Southern California and prompted some local flooding, but caused no major widespread damage before heading east over the mountains and south towards Mexico's Baja California peninsula. Residents on Friday were warned of flash flooding and possible mudslides in several parts of Los Angeles and Orange counties. Texas is asking the Supreme Court for an emergency order to be allowed to use a congressional redistricting plan favorable to Republicans in the 2026 elections, despite a lower court ruling that it likely discriminates on the basis of race. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 493 points. The NASDAQ rose 195. More details at srnnews.com.
Yeah.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. If you're driving 178 this afternoon near the Kern River Canyon, that drive is kind of rocky. You're being asked to avoid that area because of a large boulder that is smack dab in the middle of the highway, and Caltrans is working on rectifying that.
This love fest?
In Lake Isabella, 54-year-old Herbert Brown, a man on a mission to steal a car last April, may go to prison for as long as 22 years when he is sentenced next month. He was found guilty Thursday of waving a metal bar at a woman and using a rock to break glass to get into her house, get her keys, and drive away in her car. He now has a strike against him, meaning his penalty will likely be stiffer than a first offender under the 3 strikes law. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Sangera Subaru with an announcement. It's time again for the 2025 Subaru Share the Love event. Buy or lease the new Subaru through January 2nd. A donation of $325 will be made by Subaru to your choice of 4 national charities like Make-A-Wish, Meals on Wheels, the ASPCA, and National Forest Service, or local charities out of Flight Kern County, Global Family, and the Daughter Project. Right now, at Sangera Subaru, you can lease a 2025 Outback Premium CVT for only $239 per month for 36 months and $4,800 due at signing. You get a new car plus donate to charity. It's an absolute win-win. Don't miss the Subaru Share the Love event going on now at Sangera Subaru in the Bakersfield Auto Mall.
Through November 30, 2025. Lease 2025 Outback Premium CVT model code SDD-11 for only $239 a month on a 36-month lease. $4,800 due at signing plus tax and license. 0 security deposit. 10,000 mile a year limit. 15 cents per mile over. MSRP $35,098. The number S3290806.
You've got your whole life ahead of you.
So choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th. So go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage California can count on.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
I'm tired of waking up and hearing another case of a DUI. We just had the Madison Williams case where she was found guilty. We have another trial going on where a 6-year-old was killed. Now again, I'm hearing an 8-year-old is dead because of an alleged DUI. Something needs to be done to fix this.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
842-5376, 842-KERN is our phone number. Just a couple of personal notes. I don't know personal, but notes for you just in case. The 178 is closed. You see the boulder that's in the roadway at the right around the mouth of the canyon?
I didn't see it, but I heard it's huge.
It covers both lanes. And now they don't know. Man, I'm telling you.
How they're going to move it?
I bet, I bet they have to use explosives.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
I bet they blow that thing up and just clean it up, and they don't even know what kind of damage it's caused on the free. So 178 could be closed for a while. And the
Imagine that fell on the car, though.
Can you imagine if you're driving and you see that
or
thing
it falls
coming
in front of you?
Yeah, exactly. Because this thing it literally covers both lanes. It is gargantuan. And there's no way they can physically move it. That's why I think they've got to use some kind of explosives to make it smaller. So that's going to be closed for a while, is my guess. And Highway 166 between the 5 and the 99 is closed because of flooding. So be careful if you're out and about and headed wherever you may be headed. Meantime, I got to talk about this Lawrence Reed, even though it's out of Chicago, and it gets back to what we've talked about so often, that there are two issues with criminality in the 21st century. It is mental illness, that we are in the middle of an absolute pandemic. And these people are wandering the streets. They have nothing on their minds. And for whatever reason, many of them are violent. And most of them, the overwhelming majority of them, have a long history, not only of criminality, not only of violence, but just random, indiscriminate attacks on people. We saw it in North Carolina, where this man was on a train in Charlotte, and a young 21-year-old woman got on the train, and within 5 minutes, he slit her throat and she bled to death as people walked by her and left her standing there. One man apparently tried to come to her aid, but most of the folks on that train just walked by her as she was bleeding to death and got off the train. And now Lawrence Reed, who was arrested 72 times. Like, how is that possible? Like, that's like getting arrested once every a couple of weeks. 72 times over 3 decades. He was convicted 15 times. 12 of them were violent crimes, violent felonies. And in the most recent, which was in the last 6 months, he was convicted of knocking a social worker out, bopping her over the head. He goes before Teresa Maria Gonzalez, a DEI hire, if you ask me. And I don't use that term often, but if you go read her bio and her resume, it's filled with, oh, I'm so proud of being the first Hispanic and blah, 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 blah. And she was doing traffic court before she got onto this court. And the prosecution obviously wanted to lock this guy up. Can you imagine the argument? Well, Your Honor, he's been arrested 72 times. He's been convicted of crimes 15 times, 8 of which are violent felonies, it would be dangerous to let this man walk out of this courtroom right now. And what does Teresa Marie Gonzalez do? Well, I'm going to put a monitor on his ankle and let him go. This man should have never been out on the streets, but he was. And what did he do? As most of you, I'm sure, have heard about the story. Again, I'm 2 days gone. I'm trying to catch up, but I couldn't spend the day without talking about this. So he goes to a gas station, which I didn't think they allowed you to do anymore, and just poured gasoline in a container. I didn't think they allowed you to do that unless it was like an official like gas can or something. But he took like a jug or something, filled it up with gas, and walked onto the L, poured it on an unsuspecting woman, and chased her with fire through the train until he finally caught up to her, set her ablaze. She's in a Chicago hospital fighting for her life as we speak. And again, it gets back to mental illness, because Mr. Reed is representing himself, and it's beyond the old phrase, and I always screw it up, the attorney that has himself for a client has a fool for a client or something like that. Well, this is the case where the lawyer has a mental case for his attorney, and it's him. And he talked about in court yesterday about, you can try me, but you got to feed me. I mean, this guy is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and yet there was a judge who let him walk the streets. And somebody in the chat room was asking, should these judges be held accountable? And damn right they should be. They absolutely should be. This should somehow come back to you as a judge if you face somebody with a career criminal. What else can you call this man? 72. I've never even heard of that. 72 arrests in 3 decades, 8 violent felonies, and you're just going to let this man walk out of your courtroom. It should absolutely come back to them. And whether, if this happens on your watch as a judge, you should not only be reprimanded, but demoted. This woman should be adjudicating traffic stops. Somebody ran a red light, a stop sign. That's what this woman is qualified to do, not dealing with violent felons who have the mental capacity of an infant. This guy was sick. He was violent. He was dangerous. And this woman let him walk out of that courtroom. And Papa Jenko, look what we got. An innocent woman just trying to get home on the train on the L in Chicago. And now she's laying in a hospital fighting for her life. She'll never be the same, even if she walks out of that hospital. She'll have skin treatments for the rest of your life. I don't know if you've ever had known somebody who's had 3rd-degree burns. It's something that follows you for the rest of your life. And infection is one of the biggest issues. Maybe we'll talk about this with Dr. Singh on Monday. But it's something that you never really completely heal. And you're scarred. Your body is just, I don't know how old or young the woman was, but it just destroys your body. And it has to be one of the most painful injuries that one can incur. I mean, there's nothing, I cry when I burn myself eating food. You know what I'm saying? Let alone 3rd-degree burns. It's just, it just makes me speechless. It really, really does. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Locally, a warrant is out for the arrest of Salvador Fabian. He is the 26-year-old band coach was the band coach at Del Oro High School. I think I called it Del Toro a week or so ago.
Well, he's still on administrative leave.
No, I heard today. No, today
Did they actually fire
17
him?
was reporting that they fired him.
Oh, finally.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess when he didn't show up for court, they were like, well, that's our cause. But there's a warrant been issued out for him. He is, I guess, what one would not consider a pedophile if you're Megyn Kelly, because he was having sex with a teenager. And 66-year-old Roman Ayala is facing 10 felony counts of abuse as well. I bring that up to interview Mr. Flores. Again, I was ill yesterday and didn't get an opportunity to go see Megyn Kelly. But was that brought up in the Q&A, her assertion that there's a distinction but no difference between having sex with a 15-year-old and a child under 10?
Not that specifically, no.
Yeah.
No.
What
I think they asked her, talked about the Epstein files. Discussed about how more of it's just a coincidence that the day after, we get the government open, now all of a sudden we're distracted by the Epstein files again. And this is just to take away from what Trump is accomplishing and things like that.
And what's funny is it's beginning to backfire on Democrats.
It is. They mentioned
really
that too,
is.
because the latest one is a Democrat who's been on the list as his best friend or something like that, who held on carry conversations. And
yes, Stacey Plaskey, this woman. I'll play the audio after the break where she is. It's actually Jasmine Crockett trying to explain away Stacey Plaskey. And if you haven't seen this video, and again, I'm 2 days off, but I'm sure you've seen it, where Stacey Plaskey is literally, for those who are on YouTube, you can see me. She's literally, so they're interviewing Michael Cohen in a committee hearing. And she's taking suggestions and direction from Jeffrey Epstein on her phone, because they've chronicled the back and forth. And he mentions Rona, R-O-N-A, which is the first name of a woman who worked for Trump. But the Congresswoman Plaskey thought it was an acronym. So she says, is that an acronym? And then she says, hurry, I'm up next, which means clearly she's taking direction from Epstein. And remember, why is that so bad? Because it was after he was convicted. These Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries, who took money from Epstein, and this Plaskey woman who clearly had a relationship with Epstein, this was after he was convicted. He got a sweetheart deal down in Florida. There's no question about that. But at that point, we knew who he was. We didn't know the whole gambit. We didn't know all that was going on that island at that point. It would slowly come out. But they knew he was a registered sex offender, and Hakeem Jeffries was taking money from him. Plaskey is taking instruction forms, so she has a relationship with him. And Jasmine Crockett, as you'll hear after the break, and as I played a little bit earlier, is defaming people like Mitt Romney and Lee Zeldin because she's so stupid. She's such a cartoon character that 20 minutes before she went on the floor, she had her team, as she calls it, her staff, Google these people, and Jeffrey Epstein pops up, and they have a relationship with Zeldin and George Bush and blah, blah, blah. So she runs to the House floor and names names. And it turns out that Jeffrey Epstein is a doctor in Manhasset, New York. Telling you, this woman is a cartoon character, Miss Crockett. And just this thing is going to backfire on Democrats. It really, really is. Because we forget that Epstein was a Democrat. And so why was Trump hanging around with him? Because at that point, Trump was a Democrat. So yeah, there are going to be some things clearly, unless Trump is playing a game of chess that is so far above everyone. That's why he fought this thing and now wants to release it and shock everyone that he's not really named that much. He's tied, but not named criminally. But a whole lot of Democrats are going to be coming out, and it's going to be fascinating. And it'll be interesting just to see what Pam Bondi does, what they release. Because remember, I warned there's a current investigation going on as instructed by the president. And Bondi can come out and say, well, I've started an investigation now, even though prior to this, prior to the instructions from the big guy, Bondi and Patel went on the record and said, there's no reason to investigate anyone further. Now, A, does anybody believe that? And B, if that's the case, then why are they conducting these investigations into Clinton and JP Morgan and other things who are, I think, implicated, specifically JP Morgan Chase and what they did in ignoring, I think it was something like 5,000 kind of weird looking transactions that Epstein was doing. So they're concluding that either he was a spy, which has been speculated, or he's laundering money, one of the two. And JP Morgan Chase completely ignored it, didn't report it to anybody. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, you'll hear from Jasmine Crockett trying to explain away Stacey Plaskey. And Plaskey should have called her and said, Jasmine, don't ever try to defend me again, please. Please don't defend me, because you're just hurting the cause, as she did her own cause when she tried to explain away defaming Lee Zeldin and George Bush and that whole bunch, Mitt Romney. Yeah, a Mormon had a relationship with Jeff Epstein. Okay, fine. And a bizarre scene yesterday. I was laid up all day, so I got to watch most of it. They had a service for Dick Cheney, and the highlight of the service was, hello, Mr. President, it's Kamala. Hello, Kamala. Watching Joe Biden shake hands with Kamala and her sitting next to Jill, it's kind of interesting. And I don't know if anybody saw the service. We are so lucky Joe pulled out. He looks bad. And he was shaking hands with guys. And I was thinking, he was like, and who are you again? I'm Al Gore, sir. Quick time out. We're coming right back.
It's Kamala, sir. It's Kamala.
Yeah. Yeah, baby. That's Kamala. Go say hi.
It's Kamala.
Go say hi.
Did anybody tell him it was his birthday, by the way?
Who, was Joe's? Was it really?
Yesterday, I believe, yeah.
Wow. Well, he certainly looks, no, he doesn't look his age, because my mom is 83, and Joe looks like her father. He really does. Quick break, coming right back. It's TRBS on a Friday, right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Monday edition of the First Look program, well, we got the hot list. We're going to help everybody who's not already out of town with their travel plans. We're going to help people find jobs with America's Job Center at Kern, and we'll bring you state-of-the-art news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, streaming live on the World Wide Web at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries here in Kern County. If you are eligible for Medicare and looking for a doctor who listens and cares about you with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations, it's time you learned about QualCare IPA. QualCare IPA contracts with most Medicare Advantage health plans and provides you with access to a large network of outstanding doctors and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Medicare Advantage health plans go beyond original Medicare benefits coverage, and understanding these coverage differences may be confusing. Call us today at 661-554-4544. Let us help you understand your healthcare options for 2025. Call today, 661-554-4544. That's 661-554-4544. Get the information you need and the coverage you deserve. For accommodations of persons with special needs at meetings, call 661-554-4544, TTY 711.
Welcome to the magic of Christmas at Santa's Christmas Shop, and explore 26 beautiful themed Christmas trees. Each tree is created with their own sparkling story, from classic reds and golds to shimmering coastal blues, from nutcracker elegance to the bright, sweet world of Candyland. At Santa's Christmas Shop, you'll find every unique ornament, ribbon, and accessories to make your home shine bright this season. Line up the toy soldiers, light the holiday scented candles, deck your mantle with deer and garland, and don't forget the elves. Whether you're decorating your very first tree or your 26th, it all begins in one magical place, Santa's Christmas Shop, bringing the wonder and warmth of the holidays home. Visit Santa's Christmas Shop inside patio spaces, where Christmas truly comes to life and every tree tells a story. 6801 White Lane. That's 6801 White Lane.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a
Really?
large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-399-7272. 800-399-7272. Again, that's 800-399-7272.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for and there they go. Almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car, and there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph.
Lobby from here, couldn't I? Just a nice stretch of the legs.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I've walked to.
I got the bike over there too.
I'm not getting.
And you look like Joe. Then you look like Biden for sure.
Yeah, in my hard shoes, riding a bike. Yeah, no. That's why I won't do the scooter, because I'm not breaking my hip. I'm at that age now where I got to start thinking about my hip. I have so many friends, 60 plus, who have hip problems and knee problems, and no, I'm not putting myself in harm's way. It's just the cold. It's not the distance. It's the cold. But I'll be at Hobby Lobby. In fact, we're giving away some tickets. If you say that you heard about it on the Ralph Bailey Show, I'll be out there from about 6:15, about 6:45 with Rick Bentley. So come on by. I was supposed to be out there earlier today, but again, I'm having a bad week. Had Lorenzo Lamas right here, and nobody saw him. 842-5376, which is just crazy because he looks so much like his dad now, and he didn't as a kid. As I talked about earlier this week, I once had dinner with him. I wasn't with him, but he was sitting next to us at a table at the Cheesecake Factory in Marina Del Rey when he was a young guy. We were probably, if I was in LA, it's the late 80s, so he's like 4 or 5 years older than I am. He was just getting started. He's probably about 30. I was probably about 25 and 26, something like that. And he didn't look anything like his father when he was a young guy. He was a dashing, good-looking dude. He had dark hair like his pop. But now, in his 60s, like I told him, literally, when he walked in the room, I thought that was Fernando Lamas. I really did. And if you're not familiar with his dad, you really should go back and watch some of those classic motion pictures with his next wife, not Lorenzo's mom, but his stepmother, Esther Williams, who was I don't know if she was a competitive swimmer. She must have been. And then she was so beautiful that Hollywood figured out a way to assimilate her swimming and acting. And she did all these pictures where she's a mermaid and she's a swimmer and boop, boop, boop. And then she falls in love with Fernando, and they really fell in love. And they were married for a very, very long time. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Other miscellaneous news. Did you see this? The Bus Boys. And I'm not talking about the band. The boys are back in town. No, not those Bus Boys. The BUSS Boys. Jesse and Joey got whacked. The new Mark Walter group is moving in. And if you're not familiar with Mark Walter, you're not a Dodger fan, because Mark Walter is part of the Guggenheim group that has gotten us the last 2 World Championships. And they've moved in some of Walter's people into those positions. And now it's just, this was supposed to be the Buss family business. Dr. Buss rolled the dice, did some kind of unscrupulous things, put his house up against this Lakers success. And the first year he owns the club, he signs Magic Johnson. He's took the team from Jack Kent Cooke, bought the Forum, ended up buying the Kings, and got into world team tennis at the Forum, and really rolled the dice and rolled a 7 on the come out. He gets Magic Johnson, and what does Magic Johnson do his first year in LA? Leads the Lakers to our first world championship, our second in Los Angeles. And it was showtime after that. And it was Buss who came up with the idea of there were no cheerleaders in the NBA prior to Jerry Buss. It was Buss's idea, or maybe even Jeannie's, to say, we've got this fast break team that's led by this charismatic, good-looking, smiling young black kid. Let's make it Hollywood. And then all of a sudden, Diane Cannon is in the front row, and Jack Nicholson is in the front row, and Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy, and it's Hollywood, baby. And they ran with that, and it was an incredible success. Well, now no one but Jeannie is left. The Mark Walter group has taken over, which is a good thing if you're a Laker fan. Final hour of the week. Don't go anywhere.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Supreme Court has temporarily blocked a lower court ruling that found the newly redrawn Texas congressional map favorable to Republicans likely racially discriminatory. We'll have more details as they become available. The Supreme Court is considering whether to weigh in on President Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship.
The Supreme Court is meeting in private with a high-profile case on its agenda. President Donald Trump's restrictions on birthright citizenship that would deny citizenship to children of people who are in the country illegally or temporarily. The court could say as soon as Monday whether it will hear the administration's appeal of lower court rulings that have blocked citizenship restrictions. They have not taken effect anywhere in the United States. If the court agrees to step in, arguments probably will be heard in the spring, with a decision expected by early summer.
Correspondent Mark Sherman reporting. The White House is looking at prospects for new oil drilling in Florida and California.
Drill we must. I call it drill, baby, drill. The government has not allowed drilling in federal waters in the eastern Gulf of Mexico, which includes Florida, since 1995 because of the possibility of oil spills. California has some offshore oil rigs, but there has been no new leasing in federal waters since the mid-1980s. Florida Senator Rick Scott, a Trump ally, wants to maintain a moratorium on offshore drilling. California Governor Gavin Newsom says expensive and riskier offshore drilling would put communities at risk and undermine economic stability. Ed Donahue, Washington.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 493 points. The NASDAQ rose 195, with the S&P 500 index up by 64 points. More at townhall.com.
They are so expensive now.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000,
A Bakersfield officer picked her up near Mount Vernon Avenue and returned her to the people from whence she absconded. Sometimes determination isn't a good thing if it's turned the wrong way. April 23rd, 2024. 54-year-old Herbert Brown was determined to steal a woman's car and waved a metal bar at her, demanding that she give him the keys. She ran inside to wake up the hubby. Brown picked up a rock and broke glass to get in her house and took the keys, stole the car, and drove away. His persistence is paying off with a guilty verdict, a strike against him, and with that strike, a possible 22-year sentence. Two sides to the Turning Point USA Megyn Kelly event in Bakersfield. Some of the protesters who gathered outside the event Thursday night at the Dignity Health Arena had signs indicating they did not care for Kelly's comments on Jeffrey Epstein on November 12th. People who came to see Kelly say they were there to see her appear in place of Charlie Kirk. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this. Little bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final the week as we wrap up, well, kind of a screwed up week, to be honest with you, but nevertheless, the show must go on. We still got lots to do in the final hour. Coming up, bottom of the hour, Chris Orr, one of our loyal listeners, and the man is trying to put lacrosse on the map here in Bakersfield, is going to join us. And I've got some other miscellaneous news and notes we'll get to, but as you all know, I have been absolutely obsessed with John Kennedy since I was in 5th or 6th grade. It began, my obsession, with, I've always been obsessed with bios and successful men. Even as a young kid, I would read, I'd jump and get into the encyclopedia if I saw a movie or I read a book about a certain true person. I remember my first obsession was Benjamin Franklin and learning about him as a young man and trying to figure out what was true and what was not. And I would go and just kind of run through the encyclopedia and read about his life. And then I saw the Zapruder film as a young kid and could not understand how anybody could watch that film and think that the fatal shot where the president's head goes from right to left and back and blew the back of his head off somehow came from where Lee Harvey Oswald was. And that began my obsession. In fact, I remember I was going to Joe A. Gonzalez Elementary in Cerritos, California, and I went back to the teacher and I asked, could I see that again? And just to cure my fascination, she set it up where I got to go into the library and watch it again, just me and the teacher. She was thrilled, but I was that fascinated by history, and I just couldn't understand it. I could not understand how, and there have been tests that have been made where if you shoot somebody from the back, sometimes the head does recoil backwards. Okay, that's one fact. You know, the old Richard Pryor joke, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? And then as I began to read and understand the relationship that the Kennedy family had with the mafia and the relationship that the Central Intelligence Agency had with the mafia. And then I began just kind of going through it systematically and trying to delineate between what is actual fact, things that cannot in any way be refuted, and try to piece that together to make sense about this shooting. And I think it begins with Joe Kennedy, the patriarch of the Kennedy family, who began as a young banker, was just a genius, took over a bank in Boston in his 20s, and basically became the king of insider trading. It's one of the reasons that Franklin Roosevelt assigned Joe Kennedy his very first serious government job as head of the SEC, because as Roosevelt was quoted, quietly off the record, but it's in many of his bios. The reason I picked Joe Kennedy is because it takes a crook to catch a crook. And nobody was better at insider trading than Joe Kennedy, allegedly. It's one of the reasons that the Kennedy family was one of the few of the super wealthy in the 1920s that was absolutely not hurt by the Depression. While guys were jumping out of windows and losing their complete fortune, the Kennedy family, in fact, added to their wealth because Joe sold weeks before the crash. And you can either say he was a genius, he was clairvoyant, or he knew something on the inside. My guess is the latter. So then you say, well, then how does that have to do with getting all the way to 1963, November 22nd? Well, one of the things that Mr. Kennedy was smart about was diversifying. He was a movie producer. He had a relationship with some of the great stars of that era. He was making B movies in Hollywood. And he also got into the liquor business. And again, this is the 1920s. This is during Prohibition. And they were sneaking in. In fact, the Kennedy family still has, I think it's Bacardi and Dewar's Scotch, but they still own several liquors that they are still creating revenue from. And he got in bed with bootleggers at the time, allegedly, and made a fortune during the 1920s before Roosevelt gets elected in 32 and repeals Prohibition. So that's his first association with the mafia. Fast forward, it's time for his son to make a run at the presidency. Kennedy comes in Congress the same time Richard Nixon does in 1946. They become senators at the very same time in 1952. And Kennedy is a kind of just bouncing around senator. Richard Nixon, at the same time in 52, becomes part of Dwight Eisenhower's ticket and is the vice president from 1952 until 1960. And it's my assertion that Joe Kennedy's association with the mob, and this is irrefutable, that they helped John Kennedy win the presidency. That's not Ralph Bailey's opinion. That is a fact. It began in West Virginia, where Kennedy was a Catholic. And if you're young, you don't understand that until John Kennedy, there had never been a Catholic president. In 1928, a man by the name of Al Smith ran, a Catholic, very popular New York governor, but he was Catholic, and he got destroyed. And no Catholic ever ran after that because there was some belief that somehow as a Catholic, you were tied to the Pope and that you would get your instructions from the Pope, and that's how it would run the country. And at that time in our country, we truly believed in a separation of church and state. And so not only was never a Catholic elected, no Catholic ever ran. And part of Kennedy's campaign in 1959 was, they didn't ask me whether I was a Catholic when I was on PT 109 and my boat got destroyed and I had to run from island to island during World War II. They didn't ask my brother, Joe Jr., whether he was a Catholic when he got shot down or his plane exploded during World War II. And he really had to fight this. And one of the things that he needed was to win in West Virginia. Why West Virginia? It was, I don't know if it still is, but it was an overwhelmingly Protestant state. And he was going up against Hubert Humphrey. And he had to win in West Virginia, that primary for the Democratic nomination. And Joe Kennedy leaned on Sam Giancana, who leaned on union workers to provide Kennedy with a victory in West Virginia. That's not Ralph Bailey's opinion. That's irrefutable fact. So that's the first association the Kennedy family has with the mob. Then during the general election, it is commonly known, an irrefutable fact, that Richard Daley, one of the most corrupt mayors in the history of our republic in the city of Chicago, his son would later become the mayor of Chicago. Once again, they needed Illinois. In fact, if Nixon wins Illinois, Nixon is the president in 1961. Instead, Giancana with Richard Daley, they had dead people voting, literally. And through that election, the Nixon people went to Nixon and said, you have to challenge this. We can prove this easily. And one of the most dynamic, thoughtful things that Richard Nixon ever did in his life was, I can't do that, because it would take months to ferret this thing out. And at this tenuous time in American history, I can't allow there to be a period where the American people don't know who their president is. I'm just going to back off and let this guy win in a cheat. And that's irrefutable. So that, and you say, well, why are you talking about that? What's that got to do with the death of John Kennedy? Because that's the association he had with the mob. Now let's fast forward. We get into the Kennedy administration, and the mafia has just done the Kennedy family a solid. So they're expecting a glorious time throughout at least till 68, and this guy's 2 terms, because we just helped him get elected. So clearly he's going to give us some love. He's not going to help us, but he's going to lend a blind eye. Well, the Kennedy family did the exact opposite. Again, you have to know a little bit about history to stay with me on this stuff, but Robert Kennedy, his younger brother, made his bones throughout the 50s as a mob fighter. He was on what was called the Estes Kefauver Committee. He was on another committee that attacked Jimmy Hoffa. I hope many of you have seen the videos of Kennedy interviewing Jimmy Hoffa, calling him a little girl. Why are you giggling, Mr. Hoffa? Or no, he was with Giancana. He also interviewed Giancana. And he's grilling these guys who just helped them get into the White House. And what is the first thing that John Kennedy does under the instruction of his father? With this alleged separation between the Department of Justice and the executive branch, he assigns Bobby, the mafia killer, to be his head of Department of Justice, his attorney general. And what does Bobby do? He goes after the mafia first day in office. So now there is a motive. Because unless you believe that the mafia would help somebody become president of the United States and then be attacked, where all it is about money. That's all the mafia is about, money. And they're going after your money stream. They're putting your people in jail. Unless you believe the mafia just says, oh, well, we're just going to take it. We all know what the mafia does when you cross them. It doesn't matter who you are. They have to be eliminated. And most biographers believe they didn't really want to kill Kennedy. They wanted to kill Bobby. But they knew you've got to kill the snake from the head to kill the body. If you kill Bobby, just going to piss off his older brother, who's the executive. He's the commander in chief. He's just going to appoint somebody else that's going to come after us even further. But if we kill Kennedy, if we kill John, he's out. Lyndon's in. Lyndon might even play ball with us, and he's certainly not going to help Bobby Kennedy come after us. And you say, that's a stretch, Ralph. That's a stretch. But what convinced me, it wasn't just some rumor that, the association between the mafia and Joe Kennedy. The real thing that just convinced me beyond a shadow of a doubt, which I'll get to after the break in greater detail, is the association between the Central Intelligence Agency and the mafia. Again, this isn't something I made up at my downtown palatial apartment. This is irrefutable facts, where the CIA went to the mafia to help them assassinate Fidel Castro. That is documented. That's a fact. They brought in Giancana and a man by the name of Carlos Marcellus, who was in one of the leaders in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge, and in New Orleans. And I think one of the numbers I got, they made 4 attempts on Fidel Castro's life. Why? Why would the mafia want to be involved with that? I'll explain when we come back. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. Our good friend Chris Orr is going to join us at the bottom of the hour, talk a little lacrosse, and then we'll wrap this thing up. And again, I'll be out at Hobby Lobby at about 6:15 this evening. Come on by and contribute to the Salvation Army. We've got a couple of tickets to Bakersfield Comic-Con.
I don't know if we're competing, but I did some pretty good money out there.
Oh, yeah? You raised a little dough?
I'm saying, if it's competition, you might want to get your listeners out there.
Well, I got tickets to give away. I got a lure. I got bait. Come on out and win some tickets to Bakersfield Comic-Con. And since you didn't get to see him, maybe you get to meet him tomorrow. Lorenzo Lamas was our guest earlier today, and we screwed up the camera. You didn't get to see him, but come out to Hobby Lobby from 6:15 to about 6:45, and I got a pair of tickets to go see him for free at Bakersfield at Comic-Con going on tomorrow and Sunday. In the meantime, we'll take a quick break, come right back. It's TRBS on a Friday night, right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180, KERN, streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. It's the JR Show.
So it looks like Prop 50 is going to pass. That's fine. I respect the process. I might not agree with the outcome, but I at least respect the process. The problem is Democrats still have to win elections next year. They couldn't flip Valadeo's seat, and that district has been Democrat for a long time. So this isn't over. They might have won Prop 50, but they still need voter turnout, which is a problem for them, and they still need to win congressional races.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Segura Subaru with an announcement. It's time again for the 2025 Subaru Share the Love event. Buy or lease a new Subaru through January 2nd. A donation of $325 will be made by Subaru to your choice of 4 national charities like Make-A-Wish, Meals on Wheels, the ASPCA, and National Forest Service, or local charities out of Flight Kern County, Global Family, and the Daughter Project. Right now at Segura Subaru, you can lease a 2025 Outback Premium CVT for only $239 per month for 36 months and $4,800 due at signing. You get a new car plus donate to charity. It's an absolute win-win. Don't miss the Subaru Share the Love event going on now at Sangera Subaru in the Bakersfield Auto Mall.
Through November 30th, 2025. Lease a 2025 Outback Premium CVT model code SDD-11 for only $239 a month on a 36-month lease. $4,800 due at signing plus tax and license. Zero security deposit. 10,000 mile a year limit. 15 cents per mile over. MSRP $35,098. The number S3290806.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-399-7272. 800-399-7272. Again, that's 800-399-7272.
Gun safes on sale. TNT Liberty Safes Black Friday sale is happening now all month long. TNT has the Centurion 24 that holds up to 24 long guns for $899, or the USA 50 that holds up to 50 long guns for $1,999. TNT also has many scratch and dents and closeouts in stock while supplies last. Go to TNTLibertySafe.com and check out TNT's Black Friday full lineup of American-made gun safes. Or stop by TNT showroom at 6201 Knudsen Drive, 2 doors north of Hodels. TNT, saving lives one safe at a time.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 6 p.m. on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
So don't listen to me. Mary Marcus is reporting that the 178 is now open. So don't listen to me. I thought it would take them. I saw the size of that boulder on 17 this afternoon, and I thought for sure it would take them at least a day or two. It'll be interesting to see how they move this thing. The boulder that was blocking kind of near the mouth of the canyon was so large it literally crossed both lanes. You couldn't get by either way. But Mary is reporting that 178 is back open, and it'll be interesting to see if they did have to use explosives. I just want to wrap up my theory on the death of John Kennedy. Tomorrow is the 62nd anniversary of the tragic day in Dallas where all of history was changed. And I was talking about the CIA's association with the mafia, because I believe they were in cahoots in the murder of John Kennedy. The mafia wanting to revenge the Kennedy administration attacking them, despite the fact that they helped him get elected into the White House. And I believe that there was some subtle agreement that the Kennedy administration would get them back into Cuba. Again, you don't have to be a history nut. You could have simply watched Godfather 2 to understand the mafia's association with Cuba. They had a friendly government in Batista who was turning his head to their mob connections to all the swanky hotels, as Herman Roth talks about it in Godfather 2, much swankier than our joints in Las Vegas. And we have a friendly government that is finally willing to work with us. And I think part of the agreement was that the Kennedy administration would get them back into Cuba. Now, how can I make a wild assertion like that? Well, one of the first foreign policy campaigns of the Kennedy administration was the Bay of Pigs, where they tried to get back into Cuba, where the Kennedy administration fueled a group of Cuban militants who wanted to go back to the Batista era and basically take over the island. But Kennedy did not want to get into World War III because Cuba was in orbit now of Russia, as Castro obviously was a communist and was getting a lot of funding and, again, was in orbit of Nikita Khrushchev at the time. So Kennedy wanted to get back, but wasn't willing to commit our troops. And he basically let these guys hang out to dry. They were overwhelmed, and the Joint Chiefs were telling Kennedy, you've got to provide air support for these guys. And he said, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get into a shooting match. What if we kill Russian soldiers? Boop, 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 boop. And so the effort to get back into Cuba was thwarted, and the mafia wasn't very happy about that. So at the same time, while this is going on, they're disappointed that they can't get back into Cuba. Kennedy is talking about breaking up the CIA. He was completely caught off guard about the Bay of Pigs because it was the CIA who convinced him, we can do this. We can do this easily. We'll be heralded as heroes getting rid of Castro. And nothing could have been further from the truth. So Kennedy had a distrust of the CIA and was going to break them up. And along with that, they wanted their war. They wanted the Vietnam War for financial reasons and because of this domino effect belief that was in concrete that if you did not stop communism in Vietnam, it would go to Laos, Cambodia, and next thing you know, they'd be marching down Main Street. And many of the geniuses of that period, Robert McNamara, the Secretary of State, believed that. And yet Kennedy was not willing to give them their war. And that was the motivation of the CIA. He's going to destroy us. He won't give us our war. The mafia wants him out. I think it was a perfect storm. And I don't think there's any way to refute that. My final thing that completely took me over the top and has convinced me, as much as I know the sun will come up, that they murdered this man, was the magic bullet. This is just basic physics. How the Warren Commission, which, in no disrespect to one of our greatest residents, Earl Warren, was an absolute joke. They didn't look at the autopsy. They never examined the president's body. They never read any of the reports from the autopsy. They basically just guessed. And they could never explain how a bullet coming from the back from Lee Harvey Oswald went through the president's neck. That's the original picture you see where he's like this before they blow his head off. And that same bullet went through his neck, his body, the seat in front of him, because he's in the back seat. John Connally, the Democratic governor of Texas, is in the front seat. The bullet somehow makes a right turn, literally, and is lodged in Connally's elbow where he's injured. The bullet is then found on a gurney at Parkland Hospital, and it's in pristine condition. A bullet that went through a man's neck, through his throat, through a leather seat, and lodged in the elbow of another man was in perfect condition and just happened to show up on a gurney at the hospital. If you believe that, then you think I'm a nut and Lee Harvey Oswald was the sole shooter. But if you believe in physics, this was an assassination.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. This just in, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, Trump loyalist turned critic, says she is resigning from Congress in January. Again, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene says she is resigning from Congress. More details as they become available.
That is gargantuan.
The Supreme Court has temporarily blocked the lower court ruling that found Texas's 2026 congressional redistricting plan, pushed by President Trump, likely discriminates on the basis of race. The order signed Friday by Justice Samuel Alito will remain in place at least for the next few days, while the court considers whether to allow the new map favorable to Republicans to be used in the midterm elections. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 493 points. This is SRN News.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. The boulder that's in the middle of Highway 178 at the Kern River Canyon may weigh as much as 40,000 pounds, and that's giving Caltrans crews a tough time getting it moved. If you drive that way, well, you are being advised not to. An escape and a quick capture. 29-year-old Erica Toledo was taken to Kern Medical about 3 this morning by jailers with the Kern County Sheriff's Department, and she escaped, they say. The prisoner made it about a half mile and was out for about 30 minutes before being caught by a Bakersfield police officer. Someone else who has been caught is the man police wanted for sex crimes against children last week. They confirmed 60-year-old Roman Duran Ayala is in custody. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Ralph Bailey for Adaptive Networks. You know, a lot of IT companies try to squeeze your unique business into their cookie-cutter solutions. That's why we've teamed up with Adaptive Networks, because they know no two businesses are exactly alike, and your IT shouldn't be either. While other MSPs offer one-size-fits-all packages, Adaptive Networks takes the time to listen and understand your specific challenges, your industry requirements. They build custom technology solutions that actually fit your business, not the other way around. So whether you're a small company or a growing enterprise, Adaptive Networks adapts to you. Their customer-driven approach means you get exactly what you need.
Yes.
Don't settle for generic IT support. Call Adaptive Networks today and discover what truly customized technology
he looks just like his dad
for
now.
your business.
That's
Adaptive
crazy.
Networks, because your business is unique and your IT should be as well. Visit adaptive-net.com or call 661-241-0638 today.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage California can count on.
Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Monday edition of the First Look program, well, we got the hot list. We're going to help everybody who's not already out of town with their travel plans. We're going to help people find jobs with America's Job Center at Kern, and we'll bring you state-of-the-art news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, streaming live on the World Wide Web at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph.
I don't know if you heard our bottom of the hour news, but Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is resigning from Congress beginning at the new year. This is gargantuan. I cannot wait to hear from this woman. Isn't that crazy? Just when I become a fan, this crazy woman wants to get out of Congress. I was thinking she was going to make a run for a Senate race, and maybe that's what she's doing. Maybe she wants to get out and start raising money. Or maybe even, I thought, she might even throw a hat in for a presidential race, not thinking that she would win, but often you have to run before you can win. In other words, get out there and see what the campaign is like, see what the national outlook is like, and then you make your serious run in 32. As most of you know, Ronald Reagan ran 3 times or 2 times before he finally, on his 3rd attempt, won the nomination. But this is gargantuan news in a House that is separated by only 3 votes. Again, as I was telling Chris, it's a safe seat for whatever Republican will run. But nevertheless, this is gargantuan news, and we'll talk about this more on Monday with Kathy Abernathy, and we'll see what transpires over the weekend. In the meantime, as those of you who are subscribing on YouTube can see, you couldn't see Lorenzo Lamas, but you can see Chris Orr, our man from lacrosse, is joining us. The man who is making lacrosse a legitimate competitive sport here in Bakersfield. Good to see you, my brother.
You too. You look good.
Thank you, sir. So do you. Coming back from work, apparently.
Yeah.
In your scrubs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having us.
No problem.
We appreciate everything that Kern Radio does for helping us promote. So
absolutely. Love it. So what's really going on?
So it's that time of year again as football wind down. We start doing our free introductory clinics for lacrosse to promote our sport and our season that's coming up, right after the new year starts. So that's where we're at.
It's amazing the growth that has experienced here in Kern County.
We have grown here. We haven't grown enough.
Right.
Southern California, Northern California, it's just dominating now. It will be in the 2028 Olympics.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes. It'll be what's called a 6-on-6 format, which is what they play in the indoor lacrosse leagues and the professional leagues.
Which is even cooler because it's fast.
It's San Diego has a professional team. I go down for a few games a year, and it's so fast.
Yeah.
So fast. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That is really cool. And of course, the greatest lacrosse player perhaps in the history of the sport, Jim Brown,
who used now I've got this decorated with my eagle feathers, but this is the stick that Jim Brown, not this stick, but the style of stick he used back in Syracuse. The sport was invented by the Native Americans. It is the oldest sport in our country.
Is that right?
Yep. And they played it for fun, but they also played it for prepping for war. And then we play it in the open field system, which is set up basically like a soccer field or football field. It's 100 yards long, and it's 9-on-9 on the field, and each with a goalie. We do that, but back in the day, the Native Americans would play it sometimes over the course of a couple days and over the course of miles.
Really?
So we condensed it a little bit.
Yeah.
So
any guess or hypothesis why it is so incredibly popular on the East Coast and is just barely catching on here on the West Coast?
I just think it was just geographically, it's just kind of where it took root.
Yeah.
And the promotion, because I've literally been playing this game since 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I grew up in Long Island, New York, which was one of the meccas. Maryland was, deemed like the other mecca of lacrosse. And it just is, it's always been. I mean, there's nobody in Long Island who doesn't know lacrosse.
I was going to say, it's just one of the sports that you play.
Yeah.
And I never played it. And I went to a school where they did have a variety of sports. We played rugby. We played European handball.
Yep.
You remember that, where you could dribble twice? I forget the rules, but I was exposed to a lot of different sports, but not lacrosse.
Yeah, it's like I said, Southern California, Northern California, it is just massive now. A lot of the private academies have it. A lot of the schools, it's CIF in most places.
Really?
Yes, it is. So
that's pretty cool.
One thing that has transpired, and I just want to put out, we do have our free introductory clinic tomorrow. It's from 10:30 to 12 at Polo Park, which is off of Noriega and Old Farm Road. Our clinic will be at the field that's on like the most northeast corner of the park off of Noriega. Just because with the weather we had, that field is I talked with NOR today. That's who we do our field rentals from, and that field's going to be usable. So we will have our clinic tomorrow. The rain hasn't ruined it, fortunately.
Nice. And what goes on?
So basically, we bring out sticks and balls and some goals. We use the softballs for this. I forgot to bring a ball, unfortunately.
Yeah, because the lacrosse ball is hard as a rock.
It's
like
hard.
It's like a hockey puck.
Yeah, it's like a hockey puck. And when you are playing the sport, if you're playing the older versions, which all our fifth graders and up who play the men's the boys sport, wear full equipment, helmets, shoulder pads with the Komodo Cordis pad. We talked about that on JR show. DeMar Hamlin had that condition, and that game was called Komodo Cordis, where he got hit in his chest right in between a beat and stopped his heart.
Right.
Our shoulder pads have a special insert that prevents that from happening. So that's regulation.
Is that something new?
We've had to use it for the past 2 to 3 years.
Before Hamlin's injury?
Well,
or
we had it before Hamlin was injured. I think the NFL now and pretty much all football is headed towards having that pad in their shoulder.
You would think.
Yeah, it's extra safety.
Yeah.
But our program has been around literally for over a decade. It was founded by myself and Andrew Zadinovich. I know you know the Zadinoviches.
Oh yeah.
And we have just fantastic volunteers who we are a nonprofit group, and we only work under volunteer status. So, we encourage people, if they have any interest, whether you have a kid who wants to play or not, if you want to get involved, coming out. I actually have a new volunteer, a kid named Elias, who played lacrosse at San Jose, and he got a hold of me, and he's going to be one of our volunteers. So I'm really excited about that. But generally, our program runs, we do like 2nd through 4th graders and in the boys program for the soft stick stuff, which is skills-based training, basically no contact. Once they get to 5th and 6th, they wear full pads. There's limited contact in that. When they get into 7th and 8th, it starts mimicking, and we try to get them acclimated to being able to play, the full high school program. We have 2 high school club teams. You do not have to belong. One is based out of Garces. They use Garces fields for practice.
Yeah.
You do not have to belong to the school to play for the team.
That's important.
Yeah, that's important. No.
Yeah.
And then we have another one that the Mustangs team that practices out of Liberty Park. Same thing. You don't have to belong to Liberty or Stockdale or wherever. Anybody can play on the team at any experience level. So
nice.
We don't care if you have no experience, come out and play. And if you're out there on the team, you're going to play.
Yeah.
That's just, it's part of it. We also have our women's program. What is interesting, and Andrew spearheaded this, we actually do have CIF lacrosse now. It's the women's team from Garces.
Really?
Yep. But they have to travel to Fresno to play.
Oh, that's too
bad. Well, we're hoping to get it expanded here. And for any of the potential women's players interested, Andrew, the coach of the women's team at Garces, he will be out there tomorrow with some of the women's players from Garces.
Yeah.
So if you have a daughter or granddaughter or niece who wants to check out lacrosse, please bring them out. I mean, we're trying to develop the women's program in town just as much as the boys as we can.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
And what's the age range for tomorrow?
So any's, basically second grade up.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I've had juniors come out and just play 2 years, never have any experience and just play 2 years. And I tell people, play the game because you love it, but we do have kids who are getting scholarships now. And we have our first kid who was interested in going to a military academy. He came out 3 years ago because he didn't have a sport, wasn't a football player, didn't wrestle. He needed something. He literally Googled it, Googled sports in Bakersfield and found our program. Came out 3 years ago, and we just found out the other day, as long as his medical clearance goes through, he got his appointment from Vince Vaughn, and he will be admitted to the United States Air Force Academy this fall.
Wow, that is outstanding.
With lacrosse as his sport for his admittance to Air Force.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
That is amazing. That's pretty cool. And second graders, what are they, like 5, 6?
Second grade? No, they're 7 and 8.
7, 8?
Yeah, 7, 8. Yeah. Okay. So we usually categorize second through fourth graders together, and then 5 and 6, and 7, 8, and sometimes the 5th through 8th can play together depending on what's going on. So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then our other thing we're doing is we're actually for the 5th through 8th graders, we're going to mimic the lacrosse or the Olympic team stuff. We're going to push doing our 6-on-6s. Just because it's a little bit quicker and we can get more teams. Once you get to the high school level, we do have full field, 9-9-9 with a goalie, so 10-on-10. And we travel to San Luis Obispo, Elk Grove up north. We used to go down San Marcos. So we have about 5 other teams for the high school competition level that we compete against. Our high school program, we start practicing January 13th, I think, for the high school kids.
Sweet.
Yeah. And then the youth program usually begins the beginning of February.
Outstanding. We'll get those, get the time again and the address for tomorrow.
So number one, if you're interested, you can go on our website, either Google Bakersfield Lacrosse, where the only thing that comes up, or it's Bakersfield, literally where the only thing that comes up. BakersfieldYouthLacrosse.com. We actually have a link to pre-register for the clinic. It just helps us knowing the numbers.
Right.
But if you don't sign up, you can still just show up. It'll be from 10:30 to 12 at Polo Park at the field area off Noriego by their parking lot and playground.
Outstanding. Well, it's amazing the work you guys have done to get this thing up on its feet. It really is. Any significance to the pennies tied to the stick?
This was just nostalgic things, like when we won a game. One of my first times head coaching, we won a game, and I found some change like immediately on the ground. So I figured it was a good luck charm. So I stuck it on there. Yeah,
okay,
that's all.
I thought that was something the Native Americans did or something.
No. Yeah, I could not put pennies on my stick and use that in a regulation game. But you can see the difference. What it was started out, and this is what I use for practice now.
Yeah.
So same basic format, but the technology is incredibly advanced.
As are all sports equipment these days.
And just the other thing to note, I apologize, is that with our program, especially for our high school club teams, we don't practice until 5:30 at night. So I have players that are concurrently running track and field, doing swimming, doing water polo. Had one try and do baseball. That was a little hard. But if you're doing another high school sport, you can actually still play lacrosse if you want.
That's cool.
And we'll make accommodations for your time. And, I had a kid who was swimming, and you would get to practice half an hour late. And I'm like, that's fine. You've been doing more conditioning. We're probably going to make you do right now. So.
All right, man. Well, good luck.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to get out there this season. I really am.
Okay.
I know you don't believe me, and I don't blame you.
Okay.
But I'm going to get out there.
I brought a seat out there for you one time to make sure you had some place to sit, but that's okay.
And in typical Bailey fashion, I didn't show up. That's
okay.
Hey, I'm consistent.
You are consistent.
I'm consistent. Good. Biggest flake in the world. Chris Orr, everybody.
And you guys still do a great job. JR's program's been amazing. And I've been listening to EBS. So
outstanding.
Yeah, they're doing all right.
Yeah.
Nice show.
All right, man. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Late.
Chris Orr, quick timeout. Final break of the week. Read a couple of text messages and get on out of here. Again, at about 6:15 tonight, I'll be out at Hobby Lobby ringing bells for the Salvation Army. You got a pair of tickets to Bakersfield Comic-Con that we'll give away. So come out and contribute to the Salvation Army and say hi to Mr. Flaky Flake.
Final break of the night. Keep it locked. The Charlie Kirk Show at the top of the hour. In the meantime, you're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN, and we're streaming live at KernRadio.com.
Sweet. That was great. Nice shot. And I'm definitely coming to you. I swear to God. I don't know about how many.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Monday edition of the First Look program, well, we got the hot list. We're going to help everybody who's not already out of town with their travel plans. We're going to help people find jobs with America's Job Center at Kern, and we'll bring you state-of-the-art news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, streaming live on the World Wide Web at KernRadio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
I know, that
News
was
Talk
ball.
96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Attention, Medicare beneficiaries here in Kern County. If you are eligible for Medicare and looking for a doctor who listens and cares about you with minimal wait times and prompt referral authorizations, it's time you learned about QualCare IPA. QualCare IPA contracts with most Medicare Advantage health plans and provides you with access to a large network of outstanding doctors and quality hospitals right here in Kern County. Medicare Advantage health plans go beyond original Medicare benefits coverage, and understanding these coverage differences may be confusing. Call us today at 661-554-4544. Let us help you understand your healthcare options for 2025. Call today, 661-554-4544. That's 661-554-4544. Get the information you need and the coverage you deserve. For accommodations of persons with special needs at meetings, call 661-554-4544, TTY 711.
Between all the holiday parties,
Weekend tailgates.
Oh, I thought you said it was.
and family get-togethers. Oh, you're here. Hey, who needs something to drink?
We've been overindulging a little more than usual. Thank goodness we both added active liver to our diets to give our livers some much-needed support so we have the energy we need to enjoy the holidays.
Active Liver from New Nordic contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract designed to give your liver maximum protection and help it do vital jobs like removing toxins from alcohol, rich foods, and sweets.
Try Active Liver today and enjoy all the holiday treats with the peace of mind of knowing you're giving your liver some relief.
Find Active Liver online at Amazon, Vitacost.com, or iHerb.com. Or pick it up today at CVS, Meijer Grocery, or ShopRite. Enjoy life to the fullest with Active Liver.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-399-7272. 800-399-7272. Again, that's 800-399-7272.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Somebody breaks your heart. Somebody twice as smart as I. Francis Albert. Somebody who stands to be true. Want to thank my man Chris Orr, longtime listener, man. He goes back to our Buckley radio days. Good guy, and he's done some amazing work putting lacrosse on the map here in Bakersfield. He really, really has. He and his man, Andrew. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Let's read a couple of text messages, get the Sam Hill out of here. Again, the big news of the day we thought was the Mamdani-Trump meeting, but the big news turns out to be that Marjorie Taylor Greene, if you've not already heard, is leaving Congress at the beginning of the year, beginning of 2026, when her term is out. And what's your guess? I can't believe that she's just going to simply walk away from public life and politics. I don't know whether this is a way to gin up a Senate race or a gubernatorial race or maybe even something bigger. I don't know.
Well, she just fell out of favor with President Trump. So.
Yeah, and she's probably going to get primaried and she's probably going to lose. And that's been the trend when you cross the president, Liz Cheney, Krasinski, whatever his name was, from Ohio. These people just realize that there's no way I'll win the primary once he anoints whoever he anoints. And it's just, that's why I said at the beginning of the show, it's amazing. I just can't figure out the president. I really can't. How he begins the week chastising this woman and in some respects putting her life in danger and now forcing her to resign from Congress. And at the same time, the very same week, 4 or 5 days later, he's, sucking the big toe of Zoran Mamdani and, denying that he called him a jihadist, just saying that that's political talk in the middle of a race. He was asked if he could go back, if the president could go back to New York and live in a New York that is guided by this democratic socialist. And the president said, I'd feel comfortable living in a Zoran Mamdani, New York. And I'm like, what have you done with Donald J. Trump? It's just the transition from destroying someone within your own party and giving credibility to Zoran Mamdani, because that's exactly what he did today. He absolutely gave this guy credibility. And again, I'm not that smart. So maybe the president, who's got one of the highest IQs of all the presidents we've ever had, I don't know if you guys know that, but maybe he's doing what I suggested that he do, and that is root for this guy. Let him rise within the Democratic Party. Let a socialist be the face of the party, along with AOC and people like Jasmine Crockett, the cartoon character, and Stacey Plasky, who's taking instructions from Jeff Epstein. Let them go uber left, because if we learned anything in the most recent elections, Democrats who are centrists, who are moderates, can steal independent votes. We saw it in New Jersey. We saw it in Virginia with Abigail Spanberger. These weren't uber left liberals. We played you the audio of Spanberger trying to dodge the transgender issue because she didn't want to be part of that group that says, yes, biological men should play with women, but she's still on that page. So this party is still left of center, but these people were smart enough to get more centrist. And Mamdani, in his meeting with President Trump, if you would listen to that tete-a-tete that they had, that love fest, you would have thought that Mamdani was a centrist. You would never know that he was part of the Democratic Socialist Party, which, by the way, made demands. You want to hear some of the things that they're demanding that Mamdani do as the New York mayor? They want him to divest from Israel. In the city of New York, which I think it's safe to say is the highest population of Jews in America, he wants them to ban Israeli products in the city-run grocery stores that he says he's going to establish in the 5 boroughs. They want him to end New York police departments training with Israeli occupation forces. And get this, they want him to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. So understand who this man is, Mamdani, and from whence he comes. And that is an incredibly liberal, incredibly anti-Semitic Democratic Socialist Party. 842-5376, 842-KRN. Let's read a couple text messages, and I'm going to go ring some bells.
Wow, Chris is an old guy like myself and RB.
Yes, he is.
He sounds like young 30 to 40-year-old on the radio.
Well, what do you guess? I bet he's in his early 50s. He's not. No, he ain't in the 6-0 crowd yet. But I'm guessing he's in his early 50s. But I'm glad you got to see him and not Lorenzo Lamas. Oh, geez. What else you got?
Are Chris Zucchini and Chris Orr the same guy?
No. Chris Zucchini is about yay big and is one of the best golfers I know. Guy had 3 months off, and I shot like the lowest round I've shot in 5 years. Thought I was ready to take him on. And after a 3-month layoff, Zucchini went out and shot a 79. So no, he is my arch nemesis. And I don't know, when was the last time he stuck it in the ground?
Oh, probably early June.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think it might be time for me to send him to the second bedroom. I just can't play in the cold. I just can't. Although I've got those gift certificates to Sundale that doesn't start till 10 a.m. We can get out there on a Sunday, although not this Sunday because I got to see Shador. Shador Sanders makes his debut as a starter. First time he's had a week with the number ones. And
we were riding in the elevator from the locker room back up to the press box on Monday night.
Yeah.
And there was already chatter that Shador is going to throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Raiders.
Well, he couldn't have picked a better team to make his debut, that's for sure. And this really could be the fork in the road of his career, because if he craps the bed, the media in Cleveland are going to be all over him. I got to get out of here. For Stephen Nicholas, J.R. Flores, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. Have a great weekend. I'll wrap to you on Monday.
This is AM 1180 KERN, Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM, Bakersfield.
All right. What did we do?
Do Marjorie, no?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Good call. You ready? 3, 2. So the Republican Party has absolutely been stunned by the announcement that Georgia Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene is resigning in January. I don't know if this is a bid to make a larger run for either the United States Senate or maybe even the governor of Georgia, but another one bites the dust. This is a huge deal for the Republican Party. 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Monday TRBS. Well, it's a Monday, so Dr. Jeet Singh will join us. And, of course, Kathy Abernathy will give us her thoughts on the Megyn Kelly performance. All that and our football weekend and me at 3. It's TRBS right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN. I'll see you Monday.
While reducing the size of its army and blocking its coveted path to NATO membership. Again, looking at our top story at this hour, Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene has announced that she is resigning from Congress in January.
Sorry, didn't get to see Lorenzo.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 493 points. More at townhall.com.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle